1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome into the Maggie and Perloff Show. Perloff here in New York. Maggie in the home studio today. And Maggie, you know that I'm old school, right? I'm as old school as they come.
I always say that about you.
Yeah, old school. You'd smash mouth football. That's why I'm so into the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. They are just winning by not scoring and beating up the other team. It's awesome. It's everything we want out of a Mike Tomlin coach team. There's one thing they don't really have yet, though, Mag. That's a starting quarterback, per se.
Perloff, I don't know what you're talking about. They've got Justin Fields. He's QB1. I don't care what Mike Tomlin has to say about this, because here's the thing about Tomlin and how cagey he's kind of been about this whole starting quarterback thing. And yesterday would not say that Justin Fields is QB1. I'm sorry, did Russell Wilson, has he been starting for the Steelers for the last 7 years and I just completely missed this? Was he the incumbent? I mean, he signed a couple weeks before Justin Fields. This is not exactly staking your claim, to the job. And I'll ask you, what did Russell Wilson do to win this job? Nothing.
I don't know. What about 15 years of success in the NFL? How about a Super Bowl ring? How about multiple Pro Bowl trips? How about a decent preseason, about 11 snaps? How about the fact that they promised him he'd be the starter, Maggie? That's actually, that's an important part of this. You know that Tomlin promised Russell Wilson something. How about the fact that, you know what? They don't need to name a starter. They're 3-0. Everything's working. Why would you change anything right now? They have not named a starter, and they are kicking butt. I say they keep going like this, because what is the upside of naming Justin Fields QB1 for the season? Why would they do that?
Because he's winning games. And he's doing everything that they asked him to do. And, we talk about messages to the locker room, and maybe we can inflate that or we cannot. But I think that what is the message that it sends to your locker room, where you have a guy who's coming in who seemingly, by all accounts, is busting his butt.
Yeah.
He's improving. He's doing everything you ask. He's definitely playing within the offense, because there's no way he's freelancing out there, because they never throw the ball down the field, right? He's very, very rarely. So he's doing everything you ask. And the message you send to your locker room is this guy might lose his job, even though he's helping us win. He's not contributing to our losses because of reputation of another guy. And Russell Wilson is not that Hall of Fame quarterback anymore. It was fun to watch him then. He's still a good quarterback, and I bet he'll play a role at some point this season. But I don't think it's good to send the message to the locker room, hey, because this guy did something in 2014, but it's 2024, we're going to go with the 2014 version, even though that's not what the NFL is. The NFL stands for not for long. And Russell Wilson is up against his football mortality. And that's not Justin Fields' fault. He's gone in and played well. They've won games. He should get the job. He should be the starter. And if they need Russ down the line, then you need Russ down the line. But they should show a little more confidence in Fields, considering he's gotten better every week.
What if he has a bad game against the Colts this week? What if he falls? What if you name him QB1 and all of a sudden the wheels fall off on this offense? Not hard to imagine, by the way, because we've seen the Steelers' offense go fits and starts. Like last year, they fell apart completely. Right. I mean, listen, Matt Canada was their offensive coordinator and Kenny Pickett was their quarterback. But what if just this week, what if Justin Fields reverts? Because Fields also has been inconsistent. He's gone on heaters in Chicago, but then taken steps back. You never know. I mean, I was saying 3 games in, they look great, but it's 3 games in, Maggie. What if Fields has a terrible game this Sunday?
Well, if you're going to believe Mike Tomlin, Russell Wilson's not healthy enough to play. So if he has a bad game, then you're going to have to just roll with it. Unless you think this is all just some sort of, the calf is actually fine and they're just kind of saving face a little bit and saying that Russ isn't 100% so that they can avoid a controversy. Maybe that's true. But if Russ isn't 100%, then you've got to still show confidence, right? You still got to understand that Fields is your guy. And so for all these reasons, like, I don't think that Russell Wilson would win this job back if he was 110%. Because how can you go away from a guy when you're winning? And by the way, do we expect it to look a lot different with Russell Wilson? This is the offense. It's not all of a sudden going to turn into this high-flying air raid. Like, they just don't have the guys to do that. Now, listen, the way that the Steelers are playing, it absolutely reinforces the fact that they should make a trade at the deadline or before for a wide receiver. You've got to reward this team. This team is winning. You've got to add a weapon if you can. It is totally justified. You're leading the division now. You have got to add somebody, and maybe that changes the offense a little bit, but Russell Wilson's not going to make this look fundamentally different than what Fields is doing.
Well, you just said that everything is great. Now you want to add a wide receiver. But let's listen to Mike Tomlin, because I think he explains it perfectly. There's just zero upside to naming anything long-term right now. You said it's a not-for-long league. I think Tomlin thinks the same thing, and I'm not sure he's so sold on Justin Fields.
Because there's no need. I explained to you the variables of the week. It has not changed. He's going to walk in this building with that mindset tomorrow. And so I really, there's no need to. Sometimes in this business, man, there's a myriad of complex decisions that need to be made. I've learned to make them when it's appropriate and it's not necessary as we sit here right now.
Yeah, Maggie, there's a myriad of complex decisions. Did you hear what Mike Tomlin said?
Yeah, no, I know.
A myriad. How are you? And you just want to simplify it into he's playing well. Let's name him the starter.
How dare I?
As somebody who has been accused of being indecisive in his life, I love this. Keep all your options open. That was my mantra when I was dating before I met my wife. What's the point of committing here? Why do you want to commit?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Sarah got you guys out to a 3-0 start, and that's why you decided to keep her. Listen, I love Mike Tomlin. He's the kind of guy who would refer to your car as a vehicle. But this is the thing. With a lot of other positions, I don't think you have to do this. I don't think you have to make these kind of grand statements like, do we really check the depth chart when it's, the starting safeties? I mean, maybe, but not for like any real reason, except for when guys are hurt. For quarterback, I think it does matter. I think that there is like this sort of pecking order. And we did say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And now they have one. And I'm not telling you that Justin Fields is out here lighting the world on fire, but he's one of 12 quarterbacks who have thrown 1 interception or less. He is not making the same type of mistakes that he was making in Chicago. And I think that needs to be rewarded to kind of show everybody, hey, he's doing the right thing. And by the way, Perloff, and I know you know this, mediocre quarterback play is very much in style this year.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're doing in 2024.
Well, can I go a little, maybe not conspiracy theory, but there's another issue looming over this team. Justin Fields does not have a long-term contract. Do you think that's possible? And I think I'm the only one saying this. The Steelers don't want to fully commit to him, give him too many flowers, because maybe they want to keep him in a somewhat platoon situation. So when his agent comes in next March, you could say, you only started 12 games. I'm not giving you $47 million a year. I think that would actually be super smart. And Omar Khan, their GM, he's pretty hardcore. I think they could pull some shenanigans around the money as well.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that's bleak, right? Especially if they're a playoff team or if they finally win a playoff game. I mean, here's the thing. As far as the future goes, who knows? Who knows? Who knows if Fields is going to finish the season? It could be Russ. We don't know what the market is going to look like next year. And I don't think that the Steelers, of all the organizations, feel like they're the ones who are not going to be strong-armed. I mean, they're the ones who sat there while Le'Veon Bell said, I'm not playing. And they were like, then don't play. And he didn't play on the franchise tag.
Yeah.
That rarely happened. This is a franchise that will call your bluff. So if I'm Justin Fields' agent, I'm probably trying to just say, hey, put really good stuff on film here. Show that you can win with the Steelers. It's a place that Fields allegedly wanted to go. He wanted to be there. He wanted to play for Tomlin, and now he's getting his wish. I wouldn't be so worried about what's happening in 2025. Take care of 2024.
By the way, my wife was sort of a CJ Stroud situation where I was shocked immediately. There was no doubt that was a long-term contract from day one, as you would expect.
Yeah.
So, Maggie, you're at the home studio.
Yeah.
Controversy is brewing here. I'm not going to lie to you. There are numbers flying around, different metrics. We have a show bet going on about, it's simple. Basically, if the Fever drew 2.0 million viewers on Sunday in their playoff game, the Indiana Fever this is, then I won the bet. Anything less, then you won the bet. So yesterday we got a report of this number, supposed number, I'm doing air quotes here, 1.8 million viewers on ABC, 3 p.m. Eastern. Very impressive number, but you win the bet. Right. So that means I have to buy breakfast for the crew.
Yeah.
You're not here.
Right.
So I can save $9 and keep you out of this, or do we wait until you come back?
Well, I thought about this actually because I wasn't feeling well today, and I thought, what should I be like that person who comes into the office potentially sick and gets everyone else sick just so I can get my Egg McMuffin? And I thought about it, and I really want that Egg McMuffin. Then I was like, it is 2024. Perloff could like DoorDash me breakfast just to make up for this. Or how about this? Buy everybody breakfast. They're expecting it today, and you and I will settle our own bagel cream cheese situation another time.
Now you put Egg McMuffins into the ether. I think now everybody is thinking about Egg McMuffins. Everyone has to have Egg McMuffins. We actually had a conversation. Does Uber Eats deliver to your house out of the sticks? We had this discussion today.
Is that civilization by where you live?
Yeah. Can you get Uber Eats within an hour? Like, what is? We were going to send something, but also, feeling a little under the weather, maybe send you something nice. But we have no idea where you live. It's like
go to the horse farm, take a left, and grab me some oats and hay, and I'll roll them into my own oatmeal. No, we do get. I do live in civilization. We do get DoorDash out here, but don't worry about it. I'll collect on my breakfast another time.
So if you get ordering delivery, does a horse and buggy take it down the last part of your sort of dirt road? You can actually have a car pull up to the house?
No, Jebediah comes over and slaughters a cow.
Why is it every time
then skins it and then cooks everything?
Then how come every time there's a half inch of rain, your power goes out for 3.5 weeks?
Don't say it. Everything's, knock on wood, going well right now with my connection, so don't jinx it.
I noticed you have in your home man cave a Bills jersey, 3-0. And then you got some Mets swag going on here, too. Yep. Again, this is a constant theme that I am annoyed when my coworkers' teams do well. So you are wearing these colors proudly. And I'm sorry, every time I look at you now, I see that. What is that Mets jacket thing going on?
Oh, I'm sorry, the rally pimp?
Yes.
Have you forgotten about the rally pimp?
Yeah, I tried to. But I can't remember. Was it the rally pimp or the grimace thing? What are the Mets fans desperately clinging on to these days?
Both. Rally Pimp kind of came and went, but, I still got the T-shirt. I got the T-shirt. Grimace is still hanging around. OMG, the hit single by Joey Church's Jose Iglesias. There's a lot of different, rally moments right now for the Mets, but didn't matter last night, so
that's all reasons for America to root against one baseball team. There's some exciting baseball last night. We'll get into that more, but we want to hear from you on the Steelers situation. I still am not convinced. Maggie made a compelling case. Why do you have to do anything? You're 3-0. Do not name a starter. Be totally indecisive until... And also, Russell Wilson, we haven't even really seen him practice fully. We don't know when he's going to be healthy. Give us a call, 855-212-4227. Maggie, I don't want to say this, but Andrew Bogus thinks I don't even have to buy breakfast because the number was close enough. He said 1.8 is basically $2 million. And the headlines are WNBA has a remarkable rating for week one. Like, in spirit, I think I won the bet, but I will buy breakfast. You're not here. You can't buy breakfast. And Nico's on the other side of the glass, and we need to feed this kid.
He's emaciated.
Yeah, he weighs about 97 pounds. We need about 6 Egg McMuffins for this dude. But I feel so bad. We're going to have a giant Egg McMuffin party, and you're not going to be part of it.
I know. Well, this is when you decide to be a hero and stay home.
Yeah.
And not risk everyone getting sick.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, not all heroes wear capes. I'm back in the closet. I'm doing the show from the closet in New Jersey. The most depressing sentence ever uttered. I would love to be in the studio. I probably would have ordered 2 Egg McMuffins just because it's like on principle. But you know what? Like sometimes you don't always get what you want, like the Rolling Stone says.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mag. All right, well, coming up next, Andrew Bogish tries to help me weasel out of this bet. That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on the Maggie and Perloff show. It is a breakfast party here today. I'm in the New York man cave. Maggie is in the home office. Maggie, it's weird. The entire office is empty today. Nobody's here. Cap isn't here today. I only have to buy breakfast for Nico, EJ, and Bogish because I lost the WNBA bet. I said 2 million viewers would watch The Fever on Sunday at 3 on ABC. It was 1.8. I don't know if I even should have to buy breakfast. That's close enough. I mean, if it was golf, this would be a gimme. You would just let me walk off with that. That's a pretty darn big number on an NFL Sunday. In spirit, didn't I win this bet?
Perloff, there could have been 1.99999 million viewers, and there was no way I was letting you get away with this. You were buying breakfast. It had to be 2,000,001, and no, this is not how this works. This is not in spirit. You didn't make an in spirit rule, or you didn't invoke any kind of clause to say in spirit. So I don't know what Bogish is talking about. This is crazy. And by the way, everyone should want you to buy breakfast because you're actually in the studio today. You can actually get breakfast for everyone. Well,
your credit card still works from New Jersey, but it's the most watched playoff game in the WNBA since 2000. Which is funny because it's not even one of the top 5 most watched games of the year. That is a giant number. I wonder, will this be in non-Caitlin Clark games too? I watched the Liberty last night. There was nothing on. Good game against Atlanta. I'm just curious how the ratings will go. Or, when they're not going against the NFL and that's tonight, is that number going to explode? Can I get a double or nothing?
No. I think that it's going to explode. Everyone's going to be watching tonight. But I think the WNBA, unfortunately, is about to see the bubble burst, at least for this season.
Right.
And I'm not saying that the Liberty and the Aces, who are going to have a great series coming up, that was the finals last year, and it was a really good series. But people aren't going to tune into that because the Caitlin factor is not invoked. Like, people will tune in, I'm saying, but I don't think it's going to break a Caitlin Clark record game.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Caitlin's team is just not as good as Connecticut right now. So the odds are this thing's going to end tonight, and then we get a summer of Caitlin. I don't know how she's going to keep our attention over the summer, but I'm sure they'll find a way.
Well, I wish they were a little more than a 3-game series. It's like the MLB wild card. It feels like it ends pretty soon in the WNBA. Maybe with Caitlin not quite being a championship level team, they'll expand to 5 games next year because I'm sure they like these ratings. Bogish, do I have to buy breakfast?
Yeah, Maggie, you're going to be shocked to hear that I said something and Perloff only half understood it and heard it. What I said was, and here's what the pledge I will make to my tall friend, my threats of lobster, egg burritos, and steak and eggs just running up his tab, I will gentlemanly not do that because he is right contextually. He lost the bet because they did not get to 2 million viewers, but his thought process was there because of the historical things that he just laid out.
Yeah.
Best in 2 decades for a postseason. It was their best ever NFL Sunday number. So the idea was correct. They just didn't get to the neighborhood of viewers that he needed.
And by the way, Maggie, I want to note that Bogish was somewhat shocked that my thought process was correct. So I think his surprise almost let me off the hook. But I appreciate that. By the way, It's 6:23 Eastern. There's nowhere to order lobster mac and cheese. There's no
We
where
are
are
in
you going to get
Manhattan.
this?
There are probably 7 places within a 3-block radius.
I don't know. At this hour, can you roll up a big breakfast tab? I mean, Maggie, you have to go to a Waffle House and eat 18 waffles. Even that's not going to cost you any money. I don't think you could really kill breakfast tab that much.
Okay, challenge accepted. Why are you fighting me on this? I just said I'm not going to do it. Now you're daring
Well,
me to
you
do
can't
it.
get mimosas and
Watch me.
champagne. You're not allowed to drink on this job, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't
Seen
know.
this place, Perloff?
Is there a fridge?
Half the people I walk around and see here, I think they might be a little buzzed.
I mean,
Go down to the loading dock and smell what they're smoking before they're loading things on the dock.
oh boy.
Hey, by the way, is that not one of the scary? All right, I got to disassociate this from my life moments. Is when you walk by a bunch of construction workers and they're all getting high.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna keep walking. I don't even want to know. I don't
gonna
want
live
to
in
think
that
about
building.
what that means.
That building is definitely secure, Maggie. Don't worry about it.
I take a lot of walks with my daughter Maggie, who's 12, and it is basically walking through a weed emporium in the park now. It's like everybody's smoking. I'm like, there are children here. I'm not going to get into this, but I feel it's like such a fuddy-duddy. I'm like, can you go somewhere a little more isolated? Anyway, I don't even want to get into that.
Wait, did I not tell you guys what happened when I went to the splash park with my kid in the middle of the day on a Monday? And when there were some people and they were smoking marijuana and they were outside of the gate, but just outside. And then all of a sudden this woman throws a shoe and says, sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm like, you didn't see me here. A 5'8" woman standing, like you threw a shoe at me.
Oh my
like,
God.
well, maybe if you weren't getting blitzed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, but I didn't say that because it's none of my business. But I did almost get hit with a crock.
Wait, any idea why she threw the shoe?
She said she didn't see me there. She was trying to throw it to a kid or something, and over the gate, and it like whizzed by my ear.
She was trying to smuggle in Crocs into the water park?
I don't know. She's trying to throw a shoe to her kid, but she's getting high because I don't know. Not my business. Not appropriate in my world, my view. But anyway, not my business, and I'm not about to start lecturing someone on parenting. But,
but you
almost
should
hit me in
have.
the face.
In this case, you might be
No.
okay. Dude, I mean, if the roles were reversed and you threw one of those size 9s at someone, I mean, you could cause a lot of damage. I
I'd
don't
be
know if you
sitting
can
in a
lift your
jail
own
cell
shoes.
right now.
Yeah, and block
Some
out the
deadly
sun.
weapon.
Yeah, block out the sun. Those things are so big.
My giant shoes are just, you don't want to mess with me. It's like nunchucks.
Yeah. All right. I think there's some people out there who want to support me that I was close enough and I don't have to pay the bet. Give us a call at 855-212-4227. Let's go to D in Portland. D, do you think I should pay the bet and buy everyone breakfast?
Perloff, I'm going to tell you something right now. A long time ago, I had a bet with one of my coworkers, and it was about Cowboys and Eagles and them playing, and I won. It was like a $20 bet. Dude said, I can't afford it. I can't pay you. I was like, all right, don't worry about it right now. Never pay me the bet. After a year, I was like, don't worry about it. Ever since then, I always look at them different. But Perloff, no matter big or small, you got to pay up, bro. You got to. I'm Team Maggie right there. If you don't, shame. Big shame. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, D. Shame, Maggie. Shame. Is that, and he's right, by the way. You do have to pay off your bets. Unfortunately, we've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, well, around here, we've made like a cottage industry in it. But you're right. You do always look at somebody a little bit differently if they don't pay off the bet. It is so true, which is why we always make sure we pay them off, which is why Perloff's going to San Antonio. It's why I ate tuna jelly with olives in it and all the silly things we do.
Actually, you ate jelly, a jar of jelly, and then you ate tuna jello. Yeah, and I know you're not feeling perfect right now. Actually, I can see you turning green in real time. Do you remember that tuna jello you had? It was lime jello with tuna fish and olives floating around. Do you remember that?
I'm fundamentally a different person after that. I've changed. I'm no longer the one.
Do you remember that thing decaying so quickly on the desk to the naked eye? You could see it falling apart.
Yeah, that was bad. I tried to bite and gagged me.
I can't believe you did.
All right, let's. I don't want to ruin this breakfast I'm buying for everybody. Let's get into some headlines there, Bogus.
And the headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. As my good friend Bill Pito likes to say, we have a developing situation, and it comes from UNLV's quarterbacks. The starter, Matt Sluka, announcing last night he will not play for the Running Rebels anymore because, quote, certain representations have not been upheld. That sounds like an NIL deal or two falling through. But there are reports that Sluka was simply offered something better to sit out, transfer, and play elsewhere next season. He's only played in 3 games this year, so he can redshirt by playing 4 or less and then get this year back and use it somewhere else next fall.
Oh, so is he going to be like Cam Rising and play 8 years? By the way, you're friends with Bill Pito? That's awesome.
Yeah. That's my name drop.
That's really cool.
You got Andy Dalton. I got Bill Pito. Very similar.
Is this controversial? Like, actually, like, this is a business now. It's college. Like, he doesn't have a contract. So I actually have no problem with him doing this.
No, it's personally amazing for me because this dude just played 4 years at Holy Cross. And I've seen him play
he's already
a bunch,
played 4 years?
And he's so good. And now here he is. Like, now we've seen a lot of different permutations and NIL stuff, but I don't think we've seen a player go, I'm done because promises were not kept. So I'll see you guys later. Have fun finishing the year without me.
Well, college has NIL now. They're still trying. They're a full-on professional league. We all know that. There's nothing that's not pro about college football, but they're still trying to thread the needle, and they don't give players full rights, and they're not, they don't have player contracts. So I say, screw them. You know what? I'm sorry. I don't think that's a popular take, but I do not mind any player who's going for more money.
No, I don't mind it either. It's just interesting that he's taking such a stance a handful of games into the season.
And I don't know how this ended up, but Jaden Rashada, who was at Florida, remember he had transferred and then sued Billy Napier and Florida because they didn't meet whatever NIL agreement that apparently was a $9.5 million deal. So that was kind of the first time we've seen like a player not only decommit and leave a school, but then also sue the school. And I'm wondering if there are going to be more situations like this moving forward as we kind of deal with this wild, wild west of NIL.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA ruling is there will be more of a pay-for-play thing, and they're trying to organize this next year. But they have these collectives, right? Like, does anyone know the rules from year to year, what's going on here? It feels like the NCAA is changing everything every month. They have some new kind of proposal, and then the courts are saying something different. So is anybody surprised by this?
No, and I don't think there are a lot of things, there are not like guardrails in place to protect players from this. From, if the story is simply, hey, you told me you're going to give me $5 and you only gave me $3 and you say you're not giving me the other $2, like there's not a lot of ways for the players to get to fight this except doing this. Going, all right, and then I'm out.
Or a lawsuit, like Jaden Rashada. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more of them. Although that thing has become a huge mess, right, EJ?
Yeah, I mean, he's I think now he's at Arizona State, but that is not a lawsuit. It hasn't been settled yet. So I think Florida's going to have to go to court on this at some point. And this could also be one of those kind of landmark situations regarding kind of how NIL gets distributed moving forward.
Totally. It sounds like, though, it's against Billy Napier, right? He might have a lot of time to sit in court down the road.
Let's stay in Vegas and recap the last 36 hours or so for those Raiders. Andy Dalton brought the Panthers to town and rolled to a double-digit win. After saying that certain guys made business decisions during the loss, head coach Antonio Pierce opened the door for a quarterback change.
I think we got to give it to players and just evaluate everything from yesterday first.
That's because Aiden O'Connell finished the game for starter Gardner Minshew. Now the reports saying that Minshew will keep his job, and a switch was never really under consideration in Vegas. Under center in Miami, Skylar Thompson still dealing with Sunday's chest injury, so maybe Tim Boyle or Snoop Huntley starts Monday night against the Titans, which might explain Mike McDaniel's incoherent rambling yesterday.
You have to open up your mind to a plethora of different solutions, considering your current answers as objectively you could evaluate haven't been the right ones.
Hello, ayahuasca.
By the way, we have a theory. It was Chris Lepresti's theory that Aaron Rodgers is being dared to sneak unusual words into his.
Oh, I think we lost Maggie there again.
I can watch her talk. She sounds like she's making a good point. She looks like she's making a good point.
Mike Tomlin said myriad. I think nobody tells Mike Tomlin what to say.
No, Tomlin just knows those things.
When you're struggling and you just got killed, you can't play that press conference game, right? Like Aaron Rodgers looks good. He can throw in Bolero and weird stuff. McDaniel can't do that, right?
No, but here's the question. Whether it is a hurt Skylar Thompson or Tim Boyle or Snoop Huntley, do they still have the better quarterback in this game? Because the other guy's Will Levis.
That's a great question. I mean, so that's our Monday night? It's a doubleheader, though.
It's a double, and
Thank God.
This is the first game, I think.
Well, do you remember last year that Titans-Dolphins game became the game of the year? Will Levis caught fire at the end. That might be the worst quarterback tandem I've heard in a long time. Nothing against Snoop Huntley. I like Snoop Huntley, but Tim Boyle and Snoop Huntley is not who you want under center.
No.
That's some real hardcore NFL analysis.
All time.
Yeah. You hear that, Mag? That was some X's and O's right there.
Yeah, great breakdown. Snoop Huntley and Tim Boyle, the rap group you never wanted to ever hear from, ever. It's like, oh, Snoop Dogg and and Nate Dogg? Like, no, it's Snoop Huntley and Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle threw a sick pass to Jalen Waddle on Sunday. It looked great. And the announcer's like, well, maybe we got something here. The next pass was one of the worst passes I've ever seen an NFL quarterback throw. But, I love all backup quarterbacks, so I'm going to support this situation. I'm not writing off the Dolphins in this situation. Just let Will Levis beat himself.
There needs to be an investigation to why Tim Boyle's an NFL quarterback. I'm still trying to figure.
I thought he's everyone's best friend. I thought everyone likes him.
That has to be it because watching him with the Jets last year, I've seen some bad quarterback play. He's the worst Jets quarterback I've ever seen.
Whoa.
Ever.
Whoa.
Impossible.
He was horrendous.
He's not good.
And then I really thought, well, I don't know, he's Aaron Rodgers' buddy. Like, maybe he can do some things. I mean, he doesn't have an arm. He's not accurate. He can't read the field. I'm like, excuse me, like is this a Bishop Sycamore situation where somehow this guy is pretending to be an NFL quarterback? How is he playing in the NFL?
It's pretty fascinating, and it goes against everything that teams tell you about, like, we make only decisions about winning. It's the most important position in all of sports, and yet they let the starter dictate his backup like nothing else. Like, oh, I don't want competition, so get rid of Joe Flacco. Oh, Tim Boyle and I play checkers really well, so make him the backup. And God forbid I get hurt and he plays, our season is screwed. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but I think I bet the over on completions once for Tim Boyle in one game last year. I think it was the Black Friday game, was 27 for 38.
He threw a Hail Mary pick six. Never been done before in the NFL.
I just think to say, I mean, you're throwing out a huge statement to say he's the worst Jets quarterback.
He's the worst Jets quarterback
Wait, hold on, AJ.
I have ever seen.
I've got one for you. Obviously, it's got to be Christian Hackenberg. Second round pick, never got on the field. Literally never took a snap in an NFL game. He's got to be the worst.
Well, he never played. That's what I'm saying. I mean, a Jet quarterback that I've seen play football. I'm not counting preseason with Christian Hackenberg. In terms of actually starting a game or getting in the game, I've seen Greg McElroy, good college quarterback, terrible NFL quarterback. I've seen, I've seen the worst. Okay?
I'm going down a list
Chris
here.
Strevler.
I mean, at least that guy could run.
Well, Chris Strevler is actually, he's decent.
Yeah.
Brooks Bollinger
was way better than this guy. I think he might have won a game.
What about Tebow?
Tebow never played quarterback.
My buddy Jay Fiedler
true.
was a Jet. I'm seeing he was okay.
Yeah,
he was a good player in Miami.
Yeah, but how about Zach Wilson? Zach Wilson was pretty bad.
I mean, look, Zach Wilson got benched for this guy, so maybe that's a good point. But again, I've seen Zach Wilson. I saw him beat the Bengals. Like, I mean, what? Could you imagine Tim Boyle trying to beat any team?
Tebow was a Jet, right?
He was a Jet. Yeah.
Did he ever play quarterback?
I don't think he ever started. I feel like.
Did we discuss this 90 seconds?
Yeah, I was saying I don't think he actually played. He might have been in some wildcat tight end situation.
Oh, did you say Tebow?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And EJ said he never played quarterback. And I went, good point.
I was having technical difficulties. I was googling old Jets quarterbacks, and sometimes the research team is not robust here. I had to look up Browning Nagel's stats because Nico is not doing anything over there.
Our research team is all Tim Boyle's.
Yeah, Rick Meyer. How about that? All right. Get us off the Jets.
The Yankees did not win the AL East last night because the Orioles clinched a playoff spot instead, 5-3 in the Bronx. It has not been a straight line to a second consecutive postseason for Brandon Hyde's team.
Been a tough few months, and I'm just so proud of our guys that continue to fight. We got some guys back. I feel good about our team, and played really well tonight.
The Orioles control that division for a while, but don't right now. However, it is still technically possible for them to win the AL East. They'd have to win their last 5 games, including 2 more at the Yankees, and have those Bombers lose all of their weekend games as well.
I love how it's like, listen, we're really locked in. We're dialed in to get a highest seed as possible. In the background, it's like, it's like pouring beer on each other. No, we're dialed in. We're locked in. This is we're focused. Finish out the season strong. Sure you are.
The Padres clinched a playoff spot with a 4-2 win at Dodger Stadium. They're now 2 games behind LA in the West, and the Astros won the AL West 4-3 over the Mariners. It's their 4th division title in a row, 7th in 8 years. And we've got our first WNBA semifinal. The Aces closing out the Storm 83-76 behind 29 points from Kelsey Plum. After the Liberty woke up the Dream 91-82. Sabrina Ionescu scoring 36 in that one. Vegas and New York start their best of 5 on Sunday in Brooklyn. Pearl, back to you.
I think you undersold that Padres game there a little bit, isn't that?
We got time.
Okay, because there was some
I know.
Some unusual stuff going on there in LA. All right, we'll do baseball later in the show. I have a broadcasting conundrum, and I think, Maggie, you're really good at evaluating broadcasters. I know this, I'm looking at my rundown, and is later on the show, but I need to talk about the new guy who wants to get into the booth. I think it is going to be a long, long national nightmare. That's coming up next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Andrew Perloff here in the New York studio. Maggie is in the home man cave, sporting her Buffalo Bills and New York Mets gear. Ugh. Sorry, no, you look good. The Mets t-shirt is kind of nauseating me. But speaking of being nauseated, LeBron James, our buddy, our friend, was on the Gojo and Golic podcast, which, by the way, that is awesome for our buddies Gojo and Golic. I'm so psyched. That must be an Ohio thing. EJ and I were discussing how did they book LeBron James and how do we book LeBron James. Heck, we take Bronny or Bryce. Let's give us any James. But that was pretty amazing. But LeBron was asked about broadcasting it and whether he'd be into it at all. Let's hear what he had to say.
I don't know. I definitely love the sport. I love basketball. I love football, and I watch it not only as a fan, but also just breaking down, matchups and things of that nature. I was brought into sports. When you grow up in Northeast Ohio, listen, you grow up in sports.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like he's open to it. Then he also said something about Tom Brady, which I was surprised by.
It'd be great. I see Tom Brady doing it. He's been great so far. And we will see, even if it's just a guest appearance, one game or two, when I'm done playing. But it's always fun to give back to the game.
So, Maggie, you've been somewhat critical of Tom Brady's broadcasting career through 3 games. LeBron says he's great, so I guess you were wrong.
Yeah, LeBron always tells the truth. The whole funny thing about giving back to the game, Brady's making $300 million. Who's giving what to who? I kind of feel like Brady's getting the better end of this deal here because he's not being really critical, and I feel like he's not actually telling me what he's seeing. He's giving me some kind of whitewash version of what he's seeing because he's not comfortable yet with broadcast mechanics, and that's fine, and hopefully he grows into it. But I do not believe for a second that LeBron James would give us the truth about any of these guys. First of all, he runs an agency. So why would you ever be critical of a potential future client? That makes no sense. And make no mistake, LeBron is there with Clutch. That is his outfit. And secondly, I think LeBron obviously wants to own a team and a team in Vegas. So he's basically just following a Tom Brady playbook. It's not so much because Brady's doing a great job. He just sees the path. Brady's going to be a part owner of the Raiders at some point. And LeBron wants to be part of the ownership group, and whenever the NBA expands to Vegas, he's basically just doing karaoke Tom Brady. He's just copying him. Well,
also, isn't Brady in on the WNBA team in Vegas as well? Or am I imagining that?
Sure, probably.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
I think LeBron is a guy who wants to do it all. I think he is going to still be a big part of Clutch. I think he is going to try to buy a team. But I guarantee, I'm so confident that he will have a mic in front of him when he retires because I think he loves this sounds mean. I think he loves the attention. That sounds way too pejorative. What I mean is, like, I think he wants to share his thoughts. You heard it there. Is LeBron ever held back? He'll weigh in on things like movies he's never even seen. He'll opine on. The guy is just one of those guys. You might even call him, I'll say it, he's a bit of a millennial. He feels like he kind of is an expert on everything because he grew up with the internet. Sorry, that sounds mean. I know I work with a lot of millennials here. But I do think that he's going to want to talk. I don't think LeBron's going anywhere. I think he's going to be front and center in our lives. And I honestly think he'd rather be a broadcaster than a team owner in a sense. Like, I think he's going to want to talk, and he's really good at it too. It'll be a podcast, it'll be a Manning cast, or it'll be maybe doing color on the NBA Finals. I mean, other great players have gone that path. I know Michael Jordan went the opposite way, but why would LeBron not be a broadcaster?
I think he could be. I don't know if he's going to be any good at it, though. But I know that they'll pay him tons and tons and tons of money. Now, would he go and sit there with Charles Barkley and Shaq and do one of those type of things where you're like ribbing each other and making fun of each other? They don't really do that on The Shop. The Shop is set up kind of like you would think they would poke fun at each other, but they don't really. It's more about, just round table discussion topics. And I like the show, but I don't know if LeBron, does he laugh at himself? Does he poke fun at himself? Maybe with his hairline a little bit, but I don't know if he's like that.
On The Shop, he does a little bit. He's really good. You're right. The Shop is a totally different format.
It's not live either.
I'm going to predict right now, and not even do a show bet. I think he's going to do straight broadcasting. I think he's going to call games.
Like as a full-timer in that, like he does once a week, or like he's like the ABC #1 guy.
He's
once
like
a week.
Reggie Miller?
Right. Like, what do you mean by that?
I think it's someday he will try that. I know that sounds like a lot, and he's the second GOAT. Even though I'm a Jordan guy, he's definitely in the 1-2 combination of the greatest players of all time, and it'd be weird. But I think he's going to be much more aggressive as a broadcaster than you guys do. And even what he just said, I like to get back to the game. He's leaving the door open. He's much more of a natural than Tom Brady.
I agree with you. I think you guys are talking about The Shop. I'm going back to the podcast that only I liked on this show, his podcast with JJ Redick, and how he really does enjoy telling people how much he knows about basketball. So I think what you're getting from Tom Brady, which I think in part is because, quite frankly, he can't go to these practices, talk to these coaches. I think that's kind of being understated why he's so bad. But LeBron, assuming he doesn't have that issue, I think you'll see LeBron like really get into the game and perhaps maybe be a little too in the weeds with what's going on because he does like to tell people how smart he is.
Wait, here's a question. You guys really think LeBron is going to be sitting there next to, name your person, Brian Anderson on a Tuesday in Milwaukee in February to call a game that Giannis probably isn't even playing in?
Well,
no shot.
Here's the thing. I mean, retired athletes do not want to stay at home all day. That is, he'd gladly go to Milwaukee. I don't. Only one of us here has called NBA games. Andrew Bogish.
In Milwaukee, actually.
Yeah. What if you
Giannis played?
What if you showed up on a Tuesday and you were assigned LeBron James as your partner here? Do you think it'd be good?
A whole other universe.
Do you think he would be good?
I do think he would be good. I think to EJ's point, there's always going to be the Pete Bellotti that doesn't want to hear LeBron say anything and will miss the fact that he's saying really good things. But I agree more with Maggie that he's got bigger aspirations here. He does not even want to be sitting next to Mike Breen at the NBA Finals. I think he wants to do Peyton Manning stuff, and I think he wants to own a team. So that's the goal. So if he does broadcasting, it's just to kill time until there's a team to buy. And then he can be an owner, and then he can be like Magic and be in front of cameras all the time, or Jerry Jones talking about his team and the NBA then.
Wow.
Can I make a prediction for Tom Brady, by the way?
Yeah.
One and done.
Okay.
I don't see this being like the start of him being the next Madden. And listen, he actually has gotten better over these 3 games because he's done basically all Cowboys games, so we've been watching them pretty closely, even if, they're doing huge ratings and all of that. I just think he's gotten better. He does not seem like this does not seem like a joy to him at all. Perloff, you and I saw him at Fanatics Fest, and he was talking to a group of probably were there 2,000 people in that room, and he was amped. I mean, he was into it. He was talking about, all these opinions and thoughts that he had about football, and it was like he was shot out of a cannon. That is not the guy that I'm hearing on these games. I don't think he likes this as much as he thought he was going to.
I think you're probably right, but I would bet you on that because of the money. I would think the money would keep him in. Also, I watched the re-air of that Cowboys-Ravens, he looks tremendous in the booth. Oh, my God.
He's Tom Brady. He always looks great.
Right, he's going to stay there so you can look at him and swoon?
Well, I actually, because I've been flipping around a lot, he's been in windows where there are a lot of better games. I don't know. It's just the look is spot on. But one thing about LeBron's going to sit there and watch Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade on TV. You don't think that he's going to get jealous of his buddies and say, I want to do that too?
He's going to do something better. He's going to be Peyton. He'll find an Eli, and they'll have like one of those alternate broadcasts.
Maybe him and JJ. If JJ gets fired after this year, that they could bring back the podcast. I think I know it doesn't make any sense for a guy at that level to be a color guy sitting next to Andrew Bogusch on a Wednesday night in Indiana calling game. By the way, Bogusch and LeBron, that would work.
Yeah. Noah Eagle and LeBron seems more likely, but thank you.
Yeah. And LeBron and Ian Eagle, that would be funny.
That would be great.
Ian Eagle makes everybody funny.
Ian could call a game with a mop, and it would be like an Emmy Award-winning broadcast.
All right, we got to talk about another GOAT who will probably be a broadcaster, and I don't know if everybody will be into him, but there's a certain Jets quarterback who's throwing some teammates under the bus. We'll dive into that next, right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
She bet Perloff, but she's all alone. Jalen Clark hit the 2 mil mark. Now free egg McMuffins alight in a font. EJ's munching, Bogusch too. They're calling down, what's Maggie to do? Stuck in the closet, feeling so ill. Hogging her jerseys, dreaming of bills. But where's Peter Bellotti? Never in sight. He's ghosting the job, day and night. Free breakfast, no Peter, that's the way it goes. He's missing in action, nobody knows. Maggie's got her tissues all wrapped up tight, but the real story here just ain't right. Peter's missed again, that's the way it goes. He's McMuffin stack up like he's never seen. Perloff's floating with a big old grin. Maggie's sick at home, no chance to win. Peter's absence is the real big plot. He's off the radar like he forgot. But where's Peter Bellotti? Nobody can say. He's skipping work day after day. Peter's missed again, that's a routine. While McMuffins stacked up like he's never seen. She's all alone. Caitlin Clark hit the 2 mil mark. Now free egg McMuffins, a light and a spark. AJ's munching, Bogusch too. They're counting down, what's Maggie to do? She's stuck in the closet, feeling so ill. Hugging her jerseys, dreaming of bills. But where's Peter Bellotti? Never in sight. He's ghosting the job day and night. No, Peter, that's the way it goes. He's missing in action, nobody knows. Maggie's got her tissues all wrapped up tight, but the real story here just ain't right. Peter's missed again, that's a routine. While McMuffins stack up like he's never seen. Perloff's gloating with a big old grin. Maggie's sick at home, no chance to win. But Peter's absence is the real big plot. He's off the radar like he forgot. Where's Peter Bellotti? Nobody can say. He's skipping work day after day. Peter's back, well she's missed the fun. But Peter's no-show is problem one. Egg McMuffins for everyone here, but Peter's never close, he won't appear. Is he on vacation, lost in a dream, or just a legend, never to be seen? Oh, Peter Bellotti, where did you go? You're in my the ultimate no-show. Maggie's at home. demolition act we're talking about. So here's to the bet, to the breakfast feast. But Peter's absentee status, that's increased. Maggie's sick, hugging Bill's blues, and Peter Pilotti's nowhere. What's the news? Maggie's at home, sick in the zone. She bet
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome in the Maggie and Perloff show. Andrew Perloff here in the New York studio. Maggie Gray at the home office. So, Maggie, there's nothing better than a confident Aaron Rodgers. You know, the guy has not stopped talking for the last 2 years, and he hasn't even played football. Now he's out there after 3 games. He is balling. I saw you predicted that he might win the MVP. Was he your MVP choice?
Now I feel like I'm you. Who was my MVP choice?
Well, you mentioned that, and I said
Comeback player of the year.
I said there's no way Aaron Rodgers is going to get enough reps, and they're not going to throw the ball enough for him to win the MVP. I still kind of believe that, but he apparently is skyrocketing up the charts in that regard. He has 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. Looked really good last week. We'll see how it lasts here. But I got to tell you, you can already tell the attitude is oozing in Jets camp from Rodgers. He's talking as if he is very confident. Do you agree with that, Mag?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Rodgers has always been a really confident guy, and rightfully so. He's got the hardware, he's got the Super Bowl, he's got the accolades, he knows he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and I think everyone in the Jets building is just dying to eat it up.
Yeah.
And you go out to San Francisco, you lose, you get run all over, not sure that Rodgers can move. Tennessee, that was kind of a weird game. They won it at the end, and then they basically just had their get-right game against New England. Now, what remains to be seen is whether New England's going to be a get-right game for a lot of people. And,
absolutely.
You know, I think maybe New England had a good first two games, and I don't know if this is actually who they kind of really are, is who the Jets sort of destroyed last week. But yeah, Rodgers is super confident. And, you know, it's funny because we're going to play a clip for you from Rodgers' appearance on Pat McAfee from yesterday. And the article that they're referencing here that called out the Jets culture and said there were big problems in the building is actually from a couple weeks ago. So this is not something that was written yesterday or 2 days ago. This is not something that was written since they won this game against the Patriots. But let's hear what Rodgers had to say about an article that called out the Jets culture. Nico, go ahead.
I would say the culture is about the opposite of what that article said.
No.
I didn't read the article, but just reading that headline there, it sounds like it was written by Hassan Reddick's agent in a way but former agent, I guess, possibly, in a way to try and disparage our great organization.
Our great organization. He's like he's been a Jet for life. So Hassan Reddick, of course, the pass rusher who's still holding out of Jets camp, saying, but Maggie, you know how these reports work. I know he was kidding, but that probably is where that report might have come from. It was The Athletic, right? It was Ben Standing, I believe, wrote the Jets story saying that there was a lot of chaos behind the scenes the fact that they're 2-1, Rodgers, this is a pure victory lap. I have no problem with him doing this, but do you have a problem with him sort of throwing a teammate, even though he's not actually on the field, under the bus?
Well, maybe, but if he's right and Hassan Reddick has actually switched agents, first of all, what were you doing this whole time? You're now missing game checks. In for a penny, in for a pound, dude. Now you're going to switch agents and you're going to come back with no contract and now you're going to play? What a gigantic waste of time that whole exercise was. But that aside, that's more for the hardcore Jets fans. That aside, I don't really mind it. I don't mind a confident Rodgers and them feeling themselves because there's no other place where the confidence is going to come from the Jets. It's not going to come from the head coach, Robert Saleh, who, despite a winning record, may be on the hot seat. It's not going to come from their offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. It's not going to come from Garrett Wilson. It's not going to come from any of these guys. It's either going to be him or nothing. So he's got to go out there and lead. Now, the other thing, though, about Rodgers saying that article was totally wrong. By the way, I didn't read the article. This is the second time one of those things has burned him. He had to backtrack a little bit last year when there was an article written where they said, it was all these unnamed sources, all these anonymous sources. It was Kalen Kaler's piece, and there was not one unnamed source, not one anonymous source. Everyone was on the record in that article, and they kind of had to backtrack. So if I'm Rodgers and I'm Mr. Go educate yourself and do your own research, you got to go beyond the headline if you're going to answer that criticism that confidently. But again, like Perloff, you kind of called it. If they're winning, Rodgers is going to be able to say whatever he wants and people are going to go along with it. And to be honest, on the scale of 1 to 10 on bat, bleep, crazy things that Aaron Rodgers has said, this one is pretty benign. Wait till we get a real crazy Aaron Rodgers quote. And if we're really going to test the fan base and really going to test the NFL, if people will criticize him, even if they're winning.
Maggie, not everybody here is totally okay with Aaron Rodgers, talking a big game, possibly criticizing a teammate who they probably need at this point. It'd be nice to have Hassan Reddick out on the field. EJ, you're a Jets fan. Is this a little too much from Aaron Rodgers?
This guy, his whole personality is, I'm the too online guy. I think the problem with Aaron Rodgers is, like people online, he wants to stunt in the end zone. He wants to tell everybody he's right. He wants to do a victory lap before there's ever even been a victory. Like, you are 3 weeks into the NFL season. We know the Jets' history. Who's to say the Jets won't be in disarray by the time we get to week 10, 11, or 12? And it just goes back to kind of all the stuff he does where he always wants to prove he's right or go back and say, actually, I was right about this thing. You guys said I was wrong. And he wants to go. Now, I know he was queued up a little bit with the article, but like most quarterbacks, like we talked about yesterday with Dak Prescott, they'd be like, yeah, that article was nonsense, but, we're moving on. We're just trying to win games. No, he has to go out there and say, oh, yeah, that was the complete opposite of what was happening. In fact, I think that article was from my teammate's agent who we're trying to get back into the fold. You may need this guy. We just lost Jermaine Johnson, okay? Yep. We're low on the defensive line in terms of depth at this point, and you're going to just blast him, put his information on blast that we didn't know his agent was fired, if he was indeed fired. And with Rodgers in the facts, we know that could be a little, dicey. that guy very well could still be Hassan Reddick's agent. So for me, it just bothers me with Rodgers because it feels like while this may be small now, it kind of previews what may be coming in the future if the Jets are 9-3 or whatever, and then he really starts putting himself out there, and he may start creating distractions that don't have to be there.
Well, yeah, like Tom Brady would never say anything about a teammate's money. Yeah. Like the great quarterbacks are famously defer any real answers. Now Rodgers is not them, but Maggie, do you think that Rodgers should be more like Brady and just say nothing? Like he could have answered that question a million different ways, but he had to take a shot. I think, and you mentioned he had to take a shot at the media too. Is this working for him?
You're asking someone to completely change course on who they are, Like, he can't hold it in anymore. Maybe he did when he was, in Green Bay in the early years, but this is who he's been for a while, guys. Like, it's going to be his version of the truth, and as far as this Jets team is concerned, his version of the truth is the truth. Because they want whatever he's selling and projecting and all of that stuff. This is, I'm watching, famous Jets fan like Mike Greenberg and others saying this is the greatest Jets quarterback performance I've ever seen in my life. And he's not wrong. And that was week 3 against the Patriots. I think that there is I think the Jets were more than willing to give Rodgers every key to every door in the facility. He can play GM. He can play offensive coordinator. He can play PR guy. He can play whatever role he wants to play in the organization. Hell, he can basically play ownership at this point. And they were more than happy to hand over the keys. And again, this to me isn't even that bad. Wait till we got a whole election to go through. I mean, wait till we get some real Aaron Rodgers quotes. I don't think that we've been tested. And by the way, to EJ's point, he's right about this. It doesn't take a massive pressure point to bring the Jets down like a house of cards. This is not an organization that is built on a very solid foundation. And they have a way of making small stories huge, massive, much bigger than they need to be. And so Rodgers, I would be a little concerned about that. He thinks that he's this sort of, not omnipotent, but that he can sort of control everything. And if he hasn't learned that already in New York, you can't do that. It's going to be out of your hands. It's a leaky building. People are always trying to CYA, cover their butt. And people leak things to the media all the time in the Jets organization. So I don't know if he understands what he's up against, potentially.
We'll see. I mean, they got Denver. They're 7-point favorites, open at 7.5. I think he's going to 3-1 here. He's going to get Nathaniel Hackett revenge game. You're right, Maggie. I think he's going to get much more confident, and he's going to say a lot of things. I hope he stays out of the election. It's been a wonky couple of weeks for his guy RFK Jr. We won't get into that because this is a family show.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, it's a family show. But Rodgers, I hope it is more interesting when he plays well. All right, another quarterback situation that we started the show with, Justin Fields versus Russell Wilson. Maggie thinks that they should just name Justin Fields as starter. He is 3-0. He is playing well. He is actually throwing the ball over the middle of the field. I say be indecisive. Why say anything? Let's go to Kevin in Oregon. Kevin, what do you think the Steelers should do about their quarterback situation?
Well, first of all, Maggie, I hope you're feeling better soon. And if Perloff welches on the bet, I'll DoorDash you an Egg McMuffin, okay?
Kevin, that's kind of you. Not necessary. I will hold Perloff hostage for that $2.99.
All right, well, I hope so. Let me know if he doesn't. Now, look at this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, it's an Arthur Smith run offense. I mean, hell, Muggsy Bogues could be the quarterback and they'd be 3-0 at this point. I don't think Justin Fields or Russell Wilson is going to make any difference. They don't need to have a good or even a great quarterback in that system. I think they'll do just fine if they continue to play good defense.
I mean, Muggsy Bogues, Kyler Murray's having enough trouble. You think you put Muggsy Bogues under center? Why did you pull that name?
I don't know, 5'3", he could hide underneath the center. He doesn't even need to do a tush push. He just has to run under the tush. He can make first.
Yeah, like a specialist. Somebody signs Muggsy Bogues to sneak under. That is a brilliant idea, Kevin. All right, buddy. Thank you for the call. Yeah, Maggie, he's right, by the way. This is not all about Justin Fields. They are only scoring 17 points a game in Pittsburgh. Why do you have to name him the starting quarterback now? What do you gain from that?
Well, are you expecting things to look all that different with Russell Wilson? This is what they want to run. They want it to look like this. They want the defense to be the star. And right now the defense has been the star. Listen, if they really wanted to make sure they had a great quarterback this offseason, they wouldn't have brought in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson.
Well, I mean, actually, what other options did they have, realistically? They couldn't draft somebody.
No, but I mean, these are two guys who are kind of fighting for their NFL careers. These weren't guys who are like coming off of these high notes, right? So,
well, yeah, I mean, but they could have kept Kenny Pickett.
I still don't understand why they didn't. And I think they were probably a little concerned when they said, we're going to bring in Russell Wilson, and Kenny Pickett said, then trade me. And I think he didn't fight for the job or what have you. Or maybe they had already told him, hey, we're moving on from you. I thought it was kind of a crime that you are going to move on from Pickett that easily, but then Pickett was okay being a backup. So I'm not sure what to make of that dude.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in Philly camp said Pickett was outplayed by Tanner McKee. I don't think Pickett has the goods. I think the Steelers knew that, and that's why they brought in these guys. All right, let's go to John in North Carolina, wants to weigh in on Aaron Rodgers. John, what do you think of Rodgers' latest statements on his teammate Hassan Reddick?
We give him the mic way too much, kind of like that orange guy. I told your producer, I don't want to talk politics, but you know, he throws something out there and we jump on it like shark bait. And you know, he's always on Pat McAfee. You know, Pat McAfee worships at the feet of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, just like listens to everything he says. And if we just kind of, I don't know, do we have to listen to him? Can we just like go interview somebody else? Can we get somebody else to talk to?
John, that's not how this works, and you know it. You know it all too well.
I know it's exactly not how it works. We love to listen. And also on your last caller, Muggsy Bogues got benched in favor of Andy Dalton. So, and we're kind of glad. I like Muggsy, but hey, I like redheads, so he's go Andy. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, John. Is that
amazing call?
I don't know what to say to him. I think he's right, and I think we're part of it, Maggie. I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably eats up too much of the oxygen in the media space, but it's kind of hard to resist.
Yeah, because he actually says stuff, right?
Yeah.
If we wanted just like the platitudes and the quarterback speak, and, you know, a lot of guys are doing that. And by the way, they're doing it younger and younger now. Have you talked to like a high school quarterback?
Yeah.
It basically looks like they've been through media training that they run for Senate. It's and I get it because there's a lot more eyeballs and social media and criticism, and you feel like you have to be perfect and the CEO, even though, you know, that's not generally what we've always wanted from our athletes. So Rodgers says interesting things, but you got to take it all.
Well, that's Bryce Young, by the way, who you just described. I mean, it's the best interview. People call him the CEO. Like, he was perfect. And I think teams want something different. Like, let's be realistic. Teams don't care what you say as long as you can play, right? At the end of the day, if Rodgers keeps playing like this, he can pull out any conspiracy theory he wants. And you said the Jets are willing to give him the whole key to the franchise. Do they care?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can say I think the person besides Aaron Rodgers who said some very controversial things this offseason for sure. The other person in the NFL who said things that really were, you know, loved by some people and really disliked by other people is Harrison Butker. And not only did they give him a contract extension and a raise, he's out there every week. So no, I think as long as you're performing, that's totally fine. And the thing about Rodgers is, you know, it's just the level of stardom that he has. And so you think we pay attention. As far as the Bryce Young thing, though, I feel like people in Carolina now are thrilled with your boy Andy Dalton. And I don't want to like tap dance on, you know, Bryce Young and say, oh, I knew or I saw it. I think he was failed at every point. But the season is live now for the Carolina Panthers. This just got way more fun, not another team that's going to be racing to the bottom.
Well, I'm a little bummed. My guy, Adam Thielen, who's not exactly a spring chicken, but they desperately need him. He's out with a hamstring injury. Looked like he got shot when he caught that ball in the end zone. It's going to be a little tough for Andy Dalton. You know, Cincinnati, I think it's this week's opponent. They're going to 0-3. That is going to be a desperate team. A big fan. I don't think I'm going to bet the over on all the Andy Dalton numbers because it is still Carolina, right? Like, I hear what you're saying. Like, do you think Panthers fans think they're in it? Are they in it?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I'd love that because if we're playing the long game here, and if you've taught me anything about the process, it's you've got to get another bite at the apple with a quarterback. So you actually want to be bad.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
sense, it's like a bad move, I thought, organizationally, but they're so sick of losing, so I can kind of understand it. As far as this weekend, you said you're not going to bet any Andy Dalton overs. I mean, Jaden Daniels just had a game of a lifetime against Cincinnati. I don't think that defense is what we thought it was. By the way, just one stat that I saw about 0-3 teams, I saw this on ESPN, have made the playoffs 6 times in the Super Bowl era.
Uh-huh.
Now, I know it's different now because we have an extra wild card and all that, and an extra game. But still, that is not boding well. It's not like the Bengals play in this bad crap division.
Nope.
I mean, the Ravens may have turned their season around with that game against the Cowboys. And the Ravens weren't a bad team to begin with. They were just kind of getting some bad luck at the end of games.
Yeah, I mean, to me, one of the issues with the Bengals was all that contract talk in the offseason. I thought they'd all turn it around and quickly be ready, but I feel like, I mean, T. Higgins was hurt, I'll be fair, but it didn't feel like he was fully dedicated to the team this offseason. And Chase was actually good last week, but he's been on and off. So they're my Super Bowl pick, Maggie, so we got to look for a silver lining here. Once they all get settled in, once again, I mean, we've seen Joe Burrow and that Bengals team go from bad to good, like turning a switch, and they were really good against the Chiefs. That team, I know they should have won that game. They just had a rookie who was way too deep in his coverage on a key play. They could have won that game, then everything looks different.
You're right, but as we move forward and as we see the defense and we see how they're going to play, are they a little bit still dining out too much on the team that got to the Super Bowl? And Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and now that's fine. But on the defensive side, did you allow yourself maybe to not reinvent anything you were doing or trying to do the same thing that you did that Super Bowl year and maybe it's just not working now?
Yeah.
Like the whole mythological flipping of the switch type thing. I think if that was real, I think we would have seen Cincinnati take care of business on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone saw, including Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, saw Jaden Daniels coming like that. They need Trey Hendrickson to get to the quarterback every time or that defense is in trouble. All right, coming up, we have another very surprising team that might be looking at quarterback. Maybe one of the weirdest QB rooms in the NFL and one of the toughest offseason decisions we've seen in a long time. That's coming up next here on the Maggie and Perloff Show. All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening, because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Boyd in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
Maggie's at home, sick in the zone. She better pearl off, but she's all alone. Caden Clark didn't hit 2 mil mark. Now 3 egg McMuffins, I lighted a spark. EJ's munching, Bogu's too. They're cowing down. What's Maggie to do? She's stuck in the closet, feeling so ill. Hugging her jerseys, dreaming of Bill. But where's Peter Belay? Never in sight. He's ghosting the job day and night. Free breakfast, no Peter, that's the way it goes. Who's missing in action? Nobody knows. Maggie's got her tissues all wrapped up tight, but the real story here just ain't right. Peter's missed again, that's the routine, while McMuffin stacked up like he's never seen. Perloff's gloating with a big old grin. Maggie's sick at home, no chance to win. But Peter's absence is the real big plot. He's off the radar like he forgot. Where's Peter the light? Nobody can say. He's skipping work day after day. Maggie's bet, well, she's missed the fun, but Peter's no-show is problem one.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. In the last segment, we got into Bryce Young a little bit. And Maggie, you had a really interesting point that the Panthers might not want to start Andy Dalton because they could use a bad record to get into the draft. But there's a funny group of teams who might be looking quarterback now. I think Miami with Tua, who knows about that one? They might not win a lot of games. And they just signed Tua to this massive contract. They seem to not be willing to admit that he has a health problem. But how about Cleveland? Deshaun Watson has not played well. Maggie, do you think that is a team that could possibly be in the draft market come next April?
Absolutely. And I'll go a step further. They should be. If Deshaun continues to play this way, how much longer are we going to say, oh, the Houston Texans version of Deshaun Watson is right around the corner? You just have no evidence of that anymore. That guy is long gone. So Deshaun doesn't become a full free agent until after the 2026 season. So that's after this year, that's 2 years. You know, you draft a quarterback, and even if he has to sit because Deshaun's contract is so wildly untradeable and he's uncuttable and all this dead cap and all this stuff we won't bore people with, but you've got to start thinking about the future. And at some point, just own up to the fact that you made a massive mistake, because Kevin Stefanski's on the hot seat and the GM, and you're just going to keep shuffling the deck chairs here. If the guy can't play, then you've got to cut your losses and try to start over with a QB. And I feel bad for Browns fans because you wanted to get off that carousel, right? All you desperately wanted to do was find a quarterback who could stick and who could actually be the franchise guy, not just revolving door of QBs. I don't think you found that guy.
Yeah, I agree. The way he's playing right now. Now, the deal, obviously, if they want to cut him post June 1, we're looking at like $72 million cap hits, $86 million per year in dead money. Now, the Broncos took on $80 million of dead money with Russell Wilson, and they seem to be in decent shape because you're not going to pay a lot if you draft a quarterback. He's cost controlled, and the cap keeps going up. Maybe you do cut him and take this massive, unparalleled cap hit. Do you think would it be better to just let him be a backup and then have a rookie come in, or would you cut him, take this ridiculous cap hit, and move on?
First of all, you got to be really confident in your job status to take on that kind of dead cap because Sean Payton could do that because they just traded, the Denver Broncos literally traded draft picks to get Sean Payton. Like he's not going anywhere. So if he says get Russ out of here, he's out. And that's exactly what they did. I don't know if the guys in Cleveland have that same kind of status. I don't think they have that same kind of security that Sean Payton is enjoying right now in Denver where they can start over.
But Maggie, I mean, if they go, say, 3-14, then it might not be the same guys in Cleveland when these decisions have to be made. It might be a new GM.
Oh, no, it definitely will. That's what I'm saying. A new GM is going to have to say, all right, we'll take on $80 million of dead cap. I mean, you're really tying one hand behind your back as a GM if you're trying to impress your new bosses quickly.
Well, I think that might be something that they want to do because don't you think that'd be awkward to have Deshaun Watson as a $70 million plus backup?
You know, and I don't know if Deshaun would even stand for it, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't even want Joe Flacco as his backup because he thought it was going to be too, I don't know, like controversial. If he played badly, then the fan base would be clamoring for Flacco. Hell, the fan base is clamoring for Baker Mayfield to come back and save the franchise, and that's not happening. They want anyone there but Deshaun, it seems like.
Well,
and
by the way, can I just say a couple things about the Browns too? That offensive line has been terrible, so that is a confusing factor too. And they should have beaten the Giants. I think it was. Well, at least they should have been in it at the end of the game. Jerome Ford, I believe it was him, fumbled in the red zone. Like, it's not just Deshaun Watson. It's a little bit like we said about Bryce Young 2 weeks ago. There's all sorts of problems going on and a lot of health problems going on in Cleveland. So I think it is possible that you see a better version of Deshaun Watson. Is that a wildly too optimistic statement?
Well, here's the thing. Jerome Ford probably makes about $750,000, and Deshaun makes $50 million.
Right, but I mean, if you have no healthy linemen, your best running back, Nick Chubb, is injured. You have probably made some bad decisions at wide receiver. Is there any quarterback? Is this a Browns thing, and in addition to being a Deshaun Watson thing?
I think it's all hand in hand because you got to ask yourself, like, what is this contract doing in terms of our ability to sign other players? Are we here with these guys because we can't spread the wealth a little bit more because of all Deshaun's money? Now, the real big money, I feel like, doesn't even actually kick in until next year. They've restructured it already. But the bottom line is this. Deshaun's career's on life support. Let's just call it what it is. He got the money, despite the fact that, all the off-field stuff that was going on. And then on the field, he has not delivered. So whether it's because the offensive line or the run game or whatever, at the end of the day, you're not getting the job done. So I think that he's the one who they're going to point to and say, wow, I think we made a massive mistake.
If you look at the Browns depth chart, on ESPN.com, for example, they put a red Q next to questionable players. Sure. You would think the team name is Q. I mean, there is not. First of all, the fact that Myles Garrett has all of a sudden this foot problem that we didn't know about, severe, real issue there. He's their best player by far. Every single offensive lineman has a Q. David Njoku's been in and out. Now Cooper is hurt. This is not looking good. Like, they might be real bad. So it's funny. What if we have the Panthers with Bryce Young, the Browns, and maybe Miami as the top three picks? I think it's going to be a wild draft season. I think we're going to have some quarterbacks, but there are going to be some interesting decisions. All right, Andrew Bogusch, headlines. Are you going to do the Padres at some point, by the way? I actually researched some baseball today.
Everything is sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season's here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks and use code M&P to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Swinging away, ground ball to Machado. He hits third, that's one. Goes to second in time, on to first, a triple play! A triple play! And the ball game is over! The Padres clinch a postseason berth on a 5-4-3 triple play.
Now leave me the bleep alone. Jesse Agler on Padres Radio. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts can't believe that's how they lost.
It's shocking. That's the least likely outcome. Obviously, looking at how the game's played and how many triple plays are turned in a year.
So as far as anyone can tell, no team has ever clinched a playoff spot on a triple play before. It's only the third game-ending triple play in the last 30 seasons. The 4-2 final also moved San Diego within 2 games of L.A. in the NL West.
Can I give you guys a hot take, by the way?
Yeah.
Triple play is the best play in baseball, not the inside the park home run.
I think there are other plays too. What about the Grand Slam?
I'm taking the triple play.
I would take the Grand Slam over the inside the park home run.
I mean, Grand Slams happen, probably 60 times a year? Like, triple play, 3 times in 30 years or whatever? Like, whenever I see this happen, I'm like, holy I just can't believe it. Like, especially the one where you turn third, second, like, it's, I don't know. It's surprising it's defense, I would say, but I don't know. Inside the Parkers happen a lot, too.
This is the cream of the crop. This is a legit triple play, not like everybody's running and there's a lineup at the shortstop and they just easily tag 2 guys and the play's over. Like, this is boom, boom, boom. This is the way you want to do it.
Like, this is peak level baseball defense. I love it.
I think the most exciting play in baseball is when the guy jumps over the fence and robs a home run. That's and EJ, I know you love that. Maggie,
love that one, too.
what's your favorite?
You guys have me thinking about this now. I don't think it's the triple play because you actually don't see it enough, right? Like a grand slam happens just enough that's like I could actually go to the ballpark and maybe I'll see a grand slam. Maybe. I don't go to the ballpark thinking, man, I might see a triple play today. It's just not even in my field of view. I think robbing a home run like an Andy Chavez style, like really over the fence. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I also like when somebody guns out someone from like center field or, right field to third or something like that. That's also awesome.
How about stealing home?
It's another great one.
Rarely.
So we should do a poll here, EJ. But
now.
how many, you get 3 options?
So I'm doing triple play. I'll put inside the park. I'll do robbing a home run. Now we need a 4th. I kind of like the stealing home. Yeah,
maybe not do robbing a home run. Do stealing home because it's something you can specifically score.
Okay.
No, you can do robbing a home run too. There's 4 slots. 4.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, I like that you said, as far as anyone knows, because you're saying like in 1867 a game might have ended. Why can't you just say that's the first time anyone's ever clinched a playoff spot?
Because this feels like a thing that we can't know for sure. But Elias says it's never happened before.
Why would we not be able to know it for sure?
Because I don't know that they've has every single Major League Baseball game going back into the late 1800s, has it been completely, correctly, fully fleshed out and scored, all that kind of stuff?
Oh, interesting.
I trust them, but it's like I feel like there's always room for like somehow it wasn't mentioned or overlooked. That in 1871, the Red Stockings.
Yeah, Capper McGee.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those weird, an 1800s baseball player just
Pappy
by their
Bell
name.
grounded out to third. And
Yeah. They didn't even have gloves back then. They just had like their hands, and that was baseball, old school baseball. That, by the way, the Padres. Nobody told me they were coming up this fast on my Dodgers.
Yeah,
this
there.
Is
Your Dodgers.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nauseating. Also, the Dave Roberts decision to not bunt at that moment is getting a little bit of criticism. So you had runners at first and second with no outs, and you've got Shohei Ohtani on deck, and you've got Mookie Betts in the hole, and you're down 2 runs.
Yeah.
You got your 8-hitter or who was 9-hitter up, and why didn't you bunt? And he goes, well, he was. And then we got to go down 0-1. He tried to bunt on the first pitch and couldn't do it. It didn't happen. And then all of a sudden they thought the defense was playing up, so maybe he could hit like something into the gap. And obviously that didn't happen because it was a game-ending triple play.
By the way, I will say, as we're talking about exciting plays, the worst play in baseball is a strikeout bunt attempt on the third strike on a foul bunt. That is the lamest play that ever existed.
I was going to say a balk, but that's pretty good too.
Balks are pretty bad.
Also,
a game-ending balk? Oh, God.
The worst. Balks also, like, you can slow down the film to, like, within a millionth of a second. Sometimes I still can't see it.
Same.
It's one of those things. It's so hard for me to tell.
But when a guy fouls off the first 2 bunts, everyone knows, like, oh, dude, you better not square up one more time. This is just painful to watch. I hate that play. That being said, the Dodgers, you were warning me, Maggie, no pitching. I like this. I think I watched last night. There was a documentary on ESPN about my Dodgers and the Yankees. Like, I feel like baseball kind of needs these Dodgers to step it up and be good. I'm sorry. This is
baseball. I think the Dodgers need it. They spent $1 billion this year.
Los Angeles needs it.
Well,
yeah,
I think baseball. No, I think baseball needs Shohei to do some stuff in the postseason this year. So this Padres renaissance is really not helping anyone except for my buddy Jesse Agler.
Like those Padres, the Orioles clinched a playoff spot with a 5-3 win at Yankee Stadium, and the Astros wrapped up the AL West 4-3 over the Mariners. Houston is the first team to start a 162-game season at 7-19 and recover to make the playoffs. And lastly, from the Diamond, the latest proof that the Pirates are cheap and heartless. Veteran DH Rowdy Tellez, designated for assignment yesterday, essentially released. The team saying it was to give a young player a look over the last week of the season, but it's far more likely that Pittsburgh just simply didn't want to pay a $200,000 bonus. Tellez needed 4 more at-bats to earn it.
Oh.
Yeah, the New York Liberty are safely in the WNBA Final Four after finishing off their 2-game sweep of Atlanta, 91-82 in Brooklyn. Sabrina Ionescu tying the franchise postseason record with 36 points and throwing in 9 assists.
Honestly, it's just doing whatever it takes to win. Understanding I'm capable of scoring, but knowing that getting my teammates open and good looks is a huge kind of part of what I do and pride myself on.
Up next for the Liberty are the Aces, who beat them in the finals last season. Vegas got its 2-game sweep of Seattle, 83-76. Asia Wilson, 24 points and 13 boards. The LA Sparks fired head coach Kurt Miller yesterday after 2 seasons, 25 and 55 in those 2 years, including a league worst 8 and 32 this year. Andrew Jebediah Dalton III has one last weapon for Act 2 as Panthers QB. Adam Thielen's now on IR because of a hamstring injury suffered Sunday in Vegas. And UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka says he will not play again this season in what appears to be an NIL dispute. UNLV's 3-0, by the way, 2 Power 4 wins, so they might have been a playoff contender. Still could be, but now their starting quarterback is walking away.
Wow.
Back to you.
I didn't realize UNLV was in that kind of possibility that they could be the 12th team.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Houston, they beat Kansas, so they, not the cream of the crop, but those are still 2 up wins for them, and they're 3-0 altogether.
It's crazy that someone in Las Vegas can't find money under their couch to give this kid. This is the place, I feel like, of all places that would be able to find, oh, you need a quick $500,000? Okay, we can call Uncle Sal. And
this is not Greg Anthony and Anderson Hunt in a hot tub, UNLV. This is UNLV football, just so we can be clear. And by the way, Randall Cunningham went to UNLV, right? And I owe a signed jersey, an Eagles jersey. Randall's in Philly this week, Maggie.
Ooh, could this be the time we finally get Phil's jersey signed?
Well, I don't know. He's doing appearances with Jaws in South Jersey and Philly. I was thinking about that last night. I don't know. How do we find Randall Cunningham? He's like, we do need to pay off. We talk about payoff bets.
Right.
We need Randall Cunningham to sign this jersey, and the guy is 90 miles away right now.
Wait, I've got an idea.
Yeah.
We know some people in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Right? We know people who can get things done in Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
Do we think that maybe we can ask one of those people that we know if they could get it done for us?
Right, but how do we get them the jersey? I guess we could mail it.
Great question. Overnight it.
Overnight it. And I'm not sure. Randall has never really cooperated. He might not know this whole thing is going on, so we have to find him. All right, well, we try to pay off our bets, including, has breakfast been ordered, EJ?
Breakfast has been ordered.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, boy.
Wait, can I ask a question, too?
Yeah.
I know we got to go to break. You're asking if UNLV can just come up with the money to try to pay the quarterback because he's in an NIL dispute?
Yeah.
Is Guy Fieri the most famous non-athlete UNLV alum?
Kenny Mayne.
Hey, he ain't more famous. That's a
I'm
good
just
one.
kidding. No.
Who's more famous, Kenny Mayne or Guy Fieri?
No, Guy Fieri. I was joking. I can't think of
Probably
any other.
Guy Fieri.
Well, the athletes. I mean,
20
Larry
years ago, it would
Johnson.
be different, but yeah.
But if it's a non-athlete, is there anyone else who can just pony up? I mean, can we just head to Flavortown for this one?
I mean, look, I love Food Network. Guy Fieri's on like a max contract. Like the deal, like they report the deals he signs. He's like on a 3-year, like $60-70 million deal. He definitely has the money.
Yeah, but when you think of a spending program in college football, UNLV doesn't jump to mind. I mean, if this kid's good enough to play in a major conference, I'm sure those guys have 10 times the money UNLV
Well, maybe
has.
if Guy Fieri would get out behind the fryer and stop gatekeeping all these millions of dollars, maybe UNLV would have a little bit of upgrade.
I got another. Jimmy Kimmel's a UNLV grad. He's got more money than Guy Fieri. Let's fix this. Throw some Kimmel cash at Matthew Sluka.
There's no excuse for this team not to be able to pay this quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, you know how this works. He probably got calls from the big boys if he's as good as you say he is, Bogus.
He was good in the Patriot League. I didn't think he was going to be good like this in big-time college football.
So he's completed 21 of 48 passes for 318, 6 touchdowns, and 1 pick this season. I mean,
then throw his rushing totals out there. He runs a lot too.
He runs a lot. So maybe one of the major conferences is looking at him. That's the deal with NIL. Like yes. There's always a better deal out there. That's why everyone is transferring.
But not mid-season.
Right. That's the only thing.
But I think this is going to be a trend, by the way. Guys are going to play with that redshirt thing so they can play till. There's a lot of reasons to stay in college. I mean, a lot of guys are going to get paid way more in college, so you might as well get as much eligibility as possible. Speaking of, by the way, Maggie, we have to take a break, but like me, we have a local college football team in Philadelphia, and people are concerned. You were aware of this, Maggie?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Penn State?
Philly college football. There's a lot going on, and we're going to talk about that next right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
at home, feeling under the weather. She bet on Caitlin Clark, now she's missing the treasure. 2 million viewers, yeah, she had it right, but she's stuck at home, hugging her Bills jerseys tight. EJ and Bogush, they're living the dream, free egg McMuffins, now that's a winning team. But Maggie's coughing, she's out of the show. Peter Bellotti, now where did he go? Oh, Maggie's sick in the closet, hugging those Bills, while Perloff collects on his bed with thrills. But forget all that, there's something more dire. Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? Perloff's gloating, but he's holding back, 'cause Bellotti's absences are what's really on track. Every day he's missing, what's his excuse? Is he dodging work or just hiding from the truth? They called for steaks, but Pete's a no-show. Not even a whisper of where he might go. Maggie's coughing up stats from home, but Bellotti's MIA, just leave him alone. Oh, Maggie's sick in the closet, hugging those Bills, while Perloff collects on his bed with thrills. But forget all that, there's something more dire. Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? Maybe Pete's out on some secret quest, or maybe he's hiding, avoiding the stress. But Maggie's got the flu, and we're missing Pete. Can we get him back, or is this his new streak? Oh, Maggie's sick in the closet, hugging those Bills, while Perloff collects on his bed with thrills. But forget all that, there's something more dire. Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? So here we are, another workday gone. Maggie's at home and Pete's still withdrawn. 3 egg McMuffins, but there's no joy to see, 'cause Bellotti's missing again. Where could he be? Bellotti, has he just retired? Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? Has he just retired? Maggie's at home, feeling under the weather. She bet on Caitlin Clark, now she's missing the treasure. 2 million viewers, yeah, she had it right, but she's stuck at home, hugging her Bills jerseys tight. Maggie's at home, feeling under the weather.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Big point of contention on the Maggie and Perloff show. Is Penn State football a Philadelphia team? Now, I grew up in Philadelphia, and every Sunday morning, Joe Paterno's brother would host a show recapping the day before his game. It was an hour long. It was the greatest thing ever. I grew up a Penn State fan, loved the uniforms. Maggie does not give me Penn State because it's out near Harrisburg. But you know what, Mag? Josh in Philly, one of our best callers, is with me. He understands what it's like to grow up a Nittany Lion fan. Josh, I don't even want to talk about this year. Penn State is a Philly team, right?
Hi, Mr. Perloff. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Mrs. Gray.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I talk to around here, at least, everyone seems to love the Nittany Lions. You know, we watch them every Saturday. We watch any highlights of them. We listen to anything about them. Even though it's not right in Philly, you know, but I mean, to me, I think everyone I know at least loves them.
And what's the level of optimism this year?
Okay, well, my question was that it seems for the last how many years, they're always able to blow through like Kent State, Northwestern, and they just blow them down. But when it comes to Michigan State, Ohio State, they just seem to not get it done. I'm just wondering when you would think the next time they're going to at least go to the national championship.
National championship. I don't know. I mean, I pick them. Josh, thanks for the call. I pick them to go to the college football playoff. I pick them to actually be one of the low seeds, but to be in as an at-large bid. I did not think Illinois was going to be this good this year. So now you got Illinois fresh off of their win over Nebraska, and they've got a couple signature wins. They beat Kansas also, which I guess is not a great team this year. But anyway, this is going to be a tough one. And then the schedule doesn't really lighten up. This is no longer like, oh, you just got to, it's going to be one or two. Then you have USC looming in 2 weeks. We'll see how they rebound after losing to Michigan. And then, of course, you've got Ohio State out there on November 2nd. So I like that the offense has definitely changed with Penn State, Pearl, and it's a lot more explosive. But at the same time, I can't make any promises to Josh and the other Philadelphia faithful that Penn State's going to be much different this year.
Well, I don't know about USC really scares you. I feel like Penn State's going to be a big favorite in that game, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And I know they're favored against Illinois. Yeah,
the USC game's in LA though.
Yeah, I know. I still think isn't Penn State at least a touchdown favorite in that game? Or we'll see what happens with Illinois. Penn State's a big favorite in this game. They're 17.5-point favorites. Like, they really have no excuse not to win every game except for Ohio State, who's given them a lot of problems. Ohio State, the defensive coordinator there, seems to have Penn State's number. I agree with you. I think this is a great – as long as they don't trip up against Illinois, I think that they should be able to run all over USC. We just saw what Michigan did to them. This feels like a great opportunity to make the playoff.
Yeah, I think, quite frankly, I think that Penn State is one of those teams where when the playoff goes to 12 teams, now you're saying, all right, no excuses. Yeah. When it's 4 teams and you're getting Ohio State and Michigan in year after year, or just Ohio State and then a bunch of SEC schools, then, all right, you can forgive it. Now with 12, I think that alumni base is expecting, that fan base is expecting a trip to the playoff.
The whole city of brotherly love is into it.
Yeah, obviously.
By the way, Ohio State, with all these pros, like this the entire team's going to get drafted. We still have no idea how good they are either. Like, usually Ohio State and Michigan own Penn State. I don't know this year. I think that Ryan Day and company, do you watch them and say, like, oh, they're unbeatable? I even think Penn State has a chance there.
I mean, how could you know? They won their first game 52-6, then 56-0, then 49-14.
Yeah, but then Marshall was moving the ball on them a lot. Because it was on Fox Noon game, I had to watch that game, and it wasn't 49-14. Yeah, the final score is big, but every game they've started off kind of slow. I'm not sure. Nobody knows how good their quarterback, Will Howard, really is. The receivers are great. They have all these names on defense. I don't know. I just feel, bottom line, I agree with you. Like, Penn State, if they're not going to do it this year, then I'm not sure what James Franklin is doing. At least get to a 12-team playoff. He's obviously a very effective coach, but I think what Josh and Philly was getting into, do you trust him in a big game?
No.
Yep.
Why would I?
There's a lot of reasons not to. All right, we got a lot coming up. You're going to be surprised at this, Maggie. The Cowboys are talking a lot. It's not just Jerry, though. We have some CeeDee Lamb, a lot of that going on. And I'm so excited for the great debate. It's Great Debate Wednesday. We have a poll out there. What's the most exciting play in baseball? But we do a poll every time we do the Great Debate, and I feel like I'm going to win this game, this poll. And I know the point is that we debate it, but sometimes you have a choice that's so awesome. How are you feeling about your Great Debate coming up next hour?
Okay, so obviously I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
I feel that my answer is like the correct answer.
But you always feel that way, though.
That's true. I'm very confident in my selections. However, I am coming off a win. And 2, I would feel a lot better about my choice for this upcoming Great Debate if I could erase what everyone watched on Monday. Does that make sense?
That's a good hint. That's a good hint.
So if you could just like Men in Black this thing, like erase your brain from what you saw Monday, I think I would have a much better shot at winning our Great Debate.
What did you win with last week?
Bob Uecker is the funniest athlete ever.
Did you check the final results? You were winning during the show. We have to get into this because I'm not going to take an L that easily. I mean, I did on our show bet about whether WNBA would get $2 million, but I'm coming to get you this week, Maggie. I think I got you. We'll see. We're going to do Great Debate next. Then we're going to get into the Cowboys later in the show. We're talking to Damien Harris, former Alabama running back. Georgia, Alabama coming up this week. Oh, that is going to be so exciting. A lot to do here. Maggie and Perloff show, including your calls. We'll be right back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Maggie's at home feeling under the weather. She bet on Caitlin Clark, now she's missing the treasure. 2 million viewers, yeah, she had it right, but she's stuck at home hugging her Bills jerseys tight. EJ and Bogush, they're living the dream. Free egg muffins, now that's a winning team. But Maggie's coughing, she's out of the show. Peter Bellotti, now where did he go? Oh, Maggie's sick in the closet, hugging those Bills, while Perloff collects on his bed with thrills. But forget all that, there's something more dire. Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? Perloff's gloating, but he's holding back, 'cause Bellotti's absences are what's really on track. Every day he's missing, what's his excuse? Is he dodging work or just hiding from the truth? They call for steaks, but pizza no show. Not even a whisper of where
5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Andrew Perloff here in the New York studio. Maggie Gray at the home studio. Of course, you can see Maggie's lovely decorations, a little Bills, a little Mets on the Infinity Sports Radio Network YouTube page. Maggie, this got to admit, it's bothering me. I don't mind the Bills stuff. Everyone loves the Bills. That Mets T-shirt, I don't know. Next bet we lose, I'm going to make you get rid of all your Mets gear.
Well, listen, I mean, as the professional broadcasters we are, you gotta be able to work through it, Pearl. I didn't put this up just to troll you, although maybe a little bit. You're conveniently forgetting my Army-Navy helmet, though, which I already got a compliment from Nico on. This is, I've got a lot of range here in the closet in New Jersey where I'm doing the show from today because I woke up with a really bad sore throat and I didn't want to expose the crew to any potential germs.
Let's get into that Army-Navy helmet. Wasn't that a set decoration on our show in 2022?
That is
that
my
end up
business.
in your home?
That is my business.
Yeah, I don't know. Does HR know about this helmet that is, I didn't know that was up for grabs. I would have taken it home with me too.
That was a gift from the good people at the Army-Navy game who told me, Maggie, it's cool. Actually, I think it was CBS Sports Network who gave me that and said, yeah, take it. It's basically just like a novelty helmet. You couldn't actually wear this thing. You'd end up like Devontae Smith. Sorry. Too soon.
Yeah, that's actually what they wore in the 70s, a helmet like that. All right, great debate time.
The Great Debate Series.
All right, we got a fun one today. College football, I think there are a lot of star freshmen. Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, Ryan Williams, Alabama. Are there any quarterbacks who are, now the quarterbacks
Dylan Raiola, of course.
Yeah, Dylan Raiola. Yeah, a lot of the quarterbacks are in their 7th, 8th, 9th year. But we got into it. Who has had the greatest freshman season in college football history? Funny, we say college football history. I think everyone here except me picked someone in the last 9 years. But let's say greatest freshman season. Maggie, before we dive into this, redshirt freshman counts, right?
Those are the rules. Now, I'm protesting that.
Me too.
But I'm not going to stand in the way. But I think redshirt freshman is not a freshman. We're talking about people who just got to campus. But for the sake of this exercise, if you'd like to redshirt freshman, then go ahead because obviously redshirting is such a huge part of college football.
All right, why don't you start us off, Maggie? Obviously, you did not choose a redshirt.
No, I did not. I went with a true freshman. I actually went with somebody who got called into duty 4 games into the season, and that is Trevor Lawrence, who took over for Kelly Bryant at Clemson when they had aspirations to win a title and Bryant was not getting it done. So what did Trevor Lawrence do? Leads the Clemson Tigers not just to the college football playoff and undefeated season, but also a full takedown of Alabama. Yes, mighty Alabama. The final score in this game, 44-16, and it was a big lead at halftime, and they just kept piling it on. Trevor Lawrence is the first true freshman to win a college football national championship since 1986, and he did it with plays like this.
Lawrence with the rush coming, finds T. Higgins, touchdown. That kid cannot be 19 years old. Come on. I mean, he looks like a 10-year NFL veteran.
I mean, he looks like he's been there his whole life.
Okay, erase everything you saw on Monday. And quite frankly, for the last 8 games that Trevor Lawrence has played in the NFL. Guys, let's go back to his freshman year. This is what led to him and the hype of him being a generational talent. 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, a win over Alabama. Greatest freshman year of all time.
Wait, you're saying he's the only true freshman to win a title at quarterback?
Since 86. To start and win as a quarterback since 1986.
I was going to say, because there was a guy who didn't start but won it. Wasn't Tua a true freshman when he won?
Well, he is not my selection.
All right, well, that is a good one. By the way, Maggie, you're previewing everybody on this list has had some down moments after that freshman year. At least your guy is getting $55 million a year. All right, let's go. Andrew Bogusch, who do you got?
Oh, thanks. I'm going to break the rules to go with the redshirt freshman, I believe. He was called back in the mid-aughts, the Bruce Bochy of college wide receivers down at Texas Tech.
Second down now. Deep strike. Got the big man. Crabtree pulls free. And touchdown. Red Raiders with a second to go.
He did not step out of bounds. And Harrell just put this up, relying on the best receiver in college football to make a play, and the strength of his hands. Big-time players make big plays in big games, and that's what Michael Crabtree just did.
Oh, the best receiver in the game as a freshman. What did he do as a freshman, Michael Crabtree? 134 catches, 1,962 yards, and 22 touchdowns. Oh. Those are all freshman records and are among the best seasons ever for any receiver of any eligibility. Michael Crabtree, 2007 redshirt freshman, an absolute monster on the field.
Wow. Bit of a system guy, but those numbers, that's crazy. As a freshman, you had that many touchdowns? Yeah. Pretty good. All right, Nico. I don't think you were alive to see any of these people except for maybe Tua and Trevor Lawrence. Who do you got?
All right. Well, I went with a guy that
Dylan Raiola. That's all I know.
I went with a guy that was a redshirt freshman, but I guess we're allowed to count those. So give me Johnny Manziel.
Snap from Patrick Lewis. 4-man Alabama rush. Got him. No, they didn't. Oh, my gracious.
Yep.
How about that?
When you have an opportunity to stop a playmaker like Manziel, you got to get him.
3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns. There was so much hype around Johnny Manziel that he basically paid for the renovations at Kyle Field down in College Station. He was everything in 2012 when he won the Heisman Trophy.
Gosh, I got to be honest. We're going to do a poll later on. Johnny Manziel is going to be tough to knock off Johnny Football. Good one, Nico. All right, EJ, have you decided yet?
Yeah, this is a game time decision, and I hate to admit this kind of thing, but Perloff got in my head on this one.
Ooh.
He got in my head because the conversation yesterday about true freshmen versus redshirt freshmen. I really wanted to go with a redshirt freshman, but I'm like, no, let me go with a true freshman. I have no problem with this guy. You're talking about 9 straight 100-yard rushing games. You're talking about 3 200-yard rushing games as a true freshman. All day AD Adrian Peterson.
That's a tough place to play, that's for sure. A lot of people have found that out over the years. Adrian Peterson, draw play, broke 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 and more. Off to the races is Peterson. He might get there. Touchdown! Touchdown! What a run!
I mean, as Bogus was just telling me in my ear, like, this guy just 7 months before was playing high school kids. And when you watched him play, he's one of those guys where I'll never forget when I first watched him play. Because you see him out there, you're like, oh, wow, this guy is good. Like, he must be a junior. A guy was on the bench, and they're like, he's 18 years old. You're like, he looks like a grown man. He was a freshman that actually made college upperclassmen look small. And this was an era where you didn't necessarily have freshmen. This is not 9 years ago like Perloff was talking about. I'm going back 2004, okay? This is not an era where freshmen were just coming in and just running people over and scoring touchdowns and winning Heisman. He was kind of a pioneer. In fact, I think if things would have been different, and he would have did this year, he would have won the Heisman that year instead of Matt Leinart. They didn't want to give it to a freshman. He had 1,900 yards that year. Adrian Peterson is without a doubt the greatest freshman of all time in college football.
Good one. Yeah, I consider Peterson too. That is a huge, Maggie, you probably remember this. Dan Patrick was so mad that Adrian Peterson didn't win the Heisman that year. He was clearly a front runner, but it was one of those things where until a certain time, voters just would not vote for a freshman. Yep. It was an unwritten rule, like you don't give anybody 100% of the vote in Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. So he definitely deserved it. But you can't say that he invented being a great freshman running back because there was an original guy who came into the SEC as a full-grown adult, and that is my pick, Herschel Walker.
The ball in Jacksonville, and Walker sweeps to the right, gets outside, the 35, look out, he's past midfield, and he's got a blocker, cuts to the inside, Herschel Walker, there he goes again.
You can see Walker cutting up and watch his speed going down the boundary. Stiff arms one
Gator back. Now it's just a foot race until he gets to the safety man, cuts back inside, and it's just a piece of cake for him, and he's just a freshman.
Oh, that is a.
Call.
If the debate was who had the better call, I mean, that was the perfect call. So Herschel Walker broke every record as a freshman, ran for 1,616 yards, a record that stood until Jonathan Taylor broke it. And by the way, I think Taylor needed more games. Herschel won the title as a freshman. He was a phenom like no other phenom. There's only two downsides for Herschel. I think he was a disappointment as a pro. People think of him as that terrible Cowboys-Vikings trade. He just wasn't what we thought he was going to be. Then he was in the USFL. I'm not even going to get into his political forays. Not sure that all worked out the way he wanted to. But there was no other freshman like Herschel Walker. And also, Adrian Peterson was cool. Trevor Lawrence had the hair. Michael Crabtree, I'm not sure about that one. But Herschel Walker was the coolest looking football player. He would just fly down the field. He was gigantic, track star. I think Herschel Walker, and I'm the only real old school choice here, is the winner. So you can weigh in, 855-212-4227. Greatest freshman year you've ever seen. And we'll open it up to redshirt. We're open-minded here. Hey, EJ, who's the guy that you left off that you were looking at one that I thought would come up?
I saw Nico's pick was the Heisman winner, and I thought, oh, that's going to be tough to beat. But I really, really wanted to pick Lamar Jackson. And I think if I was going most exciting, I would pick Lamar Jackson. Because I mean, we talk about Michael Vick and his college numbers actually not being that great. I feel like Lamar Jackson was who people think Michael Vick was at Virginia Tech. I mean, he was legit the fastest guy, best runner in college football, and an awesome quarterback throwing the football. That was an incredible individual season. But I really want to.
That was not his freshman year. Are you sure about
definitely, it was a redshirt freshman. He's the second redshirt freshman win besides Johnny.
Okay.
Or third, I think, because Jameis also is a redshirt freshman.
Got it.
So Lamar was the guy I really wanted to pick, but I did not go that route.
What about, Jameis Winston? Does he deserve merit? I don't know, Maggie. Did you look at Jameis or consider that? Because he's similar, won a title.
Yeah, I think why I chose Trevor Lawrence is because of who they beat in the national title game. I think when you wax Alabama like that, and, let's take a look about who was on that Alabama defense in that game. Xavier McKinney. I'm looking at Quinnen Williams. I'm looking at, Patrick Surtain. I'm looking at guys who are making millions upon millions of dollars, highest paid at times in their position in the NFL, and they put 44 on them. So to me, that was the one thing that set Trevor Lawrence apart.
Yeah, but
he was an actual true freshman. He was 19. I'm not going with the red shirts. I'm doing this true to the spirit.
Hey, real quick question though. 19 is not how old you're supposed to be as a college freshman. So what was he doing after high school?
He was doing a gap year, traveled through Europe.
Okay,
yeah, he was backpacking through the Alps. Thank you. I think he probably did kindergarten twice or something. He redshirted pre-K.
A 22-year-old true freshman counts, but not my redshirt freshman. Okay.
Well, the one thing. And this is because I want to win the poll, but it's a bit of a knock that Deshaun Watson had just done the same thing at Clemson and beaten Alabama.
Not this way. And Deshaun wasn't a freshman.
Yeah, I know he wasn't a freshman, but I think if Trevor had been the only quarterback to win a title at Clemson, it would mean a little more. And it's not like, his team was loaded. This is before the transfer portal ruined Dabo Swinney's career. I mean, he was loaded. So that's the only downside.
Yeah, like Alabama wasn't loaded. I mean, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, our Damien Harris, who's going to be joining us later in the show, Josh Jacobs. That team was loaded.
Yeah, but I mean, who did talk to me about Trevor Lawrence's teammates? Weren't they all pros?
No, they were, Travis Etienne, but it's not like in T. Higgins. I get it, Hunter Renfrow, but you made it seem like they were just steamrolling and faced no talent. Like that's not true.
I understand. It's again, almost everyone on this choice, on this list, had some bumps in the road after their freshman year. I mean, I think Nico's choice, Johnny Football. Yeah, he has a couple of documentaries out there on him. So
Adrian Peterson lost all of his stuff last week. You guys see that story.
He's got a couple dings against him.
Yeah.
And now in a major bankruptcy lawsuit. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's actually a fun part 2 of the poll.
Who had the worst post-freshman career out of our list?
By the way, Lamar also was a sophomore. I screwed that up, apparently.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
He was a great freshman. His numbers in freshman year also were great, but
he
was not a Heisman.
Attempted save and a fail there. But I hear you. No, yeah, Johnny was a redshirt. He was Johnny Manziel the first Heisman winner of a freshman. Has there been one since? Can we get our research team on that?
Jameis, I believe.
Okay.
He was the next one.
Okay.
I think I confused them. That was the stat I saw last night.
We've got people weighing in the chat.
Yeah.
Chuck, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network says Ron Dane.
Yeah.
Someone who we brought up yesterday.
Jonathan Taylor, I saw, broke Herschel's record. He was really good, and he's actually a really good pro. So that I don't know if that counts. And Crabtree had some moments. Of course, I think Michael Crabtree, my favorite moment. You guys know the famous soundbite when Richard Sherman blocks a pass and says Aaron Andrews interviews him, and Sherman's talking trash about someone. She goes, "Who are you talking about?" He goes, "Crabtree." So
I think the line was, "When you try me with a sorry receiver like Michael Crabtree."
Yeah.
I believe that was the Richard Sherman line.
Yeah,
It's immortal.
So once again, a lot of the guys on the list might have had some bumps in the road after their freshman year, but the only question is who had the best freshman year. We will put up a poll. We already got somebody waiting. Let's go to Adrian in Maryland because I think he understands the nature of this assignment. Adrian, who do you got?
Hey, Perloff, I got you. I got your back. True freshman, Herschel Walker, first freshman to be voted as All-American and his freshman year. True freshman, Maggie.
Yeah, true freshman. That's a key.
Thank you. I'm with you. That's why I decided to go with Trevor Lawrence winning a national title as the first true freshman quarterback to start and win a national championship since 1986. I'm with you, Adrian.
Yeah, but back then in the 80s, Adrian, like the running back was the guy in college football, like Billy Sims and Marcus Dupree and Herschel Walker. So I think winning it as a running back in 1980 was a big deal.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. It was the game. I think it's coming back to the NFL now with a lot of running. The first 2 weeks, we'll see after that. But like you said, it was a lot of running, and running backs were the main focus in the game like it's supposed to be. Thanks for taking my call, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Adrian. You know who would have won this poll if he wasn't stuck behind Thurman Thomas? Barry Sanders would have been amazing as a freshman. Now, he was a kick returner, right? Like, he did get on the field once in a while. I'm sure nobody could tackle him.
You know who else I think would have won had he not basically been like a split carries guy or split time guy? I think Tim Tebow also could have won this. Because Tim Tebow was important to Florida win that championship. They stayed with Chris Leak. But then the next year, sophomore year, true sophomore, he wins the Heisman, has 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I imagine his freshman year, he would also have been great.
A little bit of a system thing there with Urban Meyer's team, I think. And same Sam Bradford we talked about. Yeah. I mean, a guy, and I hate to say your Crabtree guy, did the air raid numbers and modern football, like there's some big numbers from freshmen.
All I'm saying is the Bleacher Report article that I found yesterday to run me through some names has Crabtree 4th in their top 10. So you can dismiss him all you want, but this list goes Manziel, Jameis, Ron Dane, and then Michael Crabtree. Ahead of Jeremy Maclin, who apparently had a very good freshman year from Missouri.
Yeah, former Eagle. So Barry Sanders, by the way, was not really that great as a freshman. He only averaged 4.4 yards per carry in part-time duty. But then as a junior, he had 2,600 yards, 37 touchdowns.
Can I ask a housekeeping question here? You and Maggie keep defending this redshirt freshman, true freshman. The show is called Maggie and Perloff. If you wanted to be true freshman only, why didn't you guys? Who overruled you guys?
Oh, I no, it had nothing to do with a general principle. It's just our choices happen to be true freshmen, and we're arguing for our choices. If I had gone with a Johnny Football, which I considered, then I would never say this.
I'm just confused. Like you're saying it as if you couldn't get the true freshman thing in, and I'm like, you guys made the poll. Just say it was true freshman.
You made a bad choice. It's too late.
I didn't make a bad choice. Because, by the way, I don't think Michael Crabtree was a redshirt. He wasn't in school the year he could have been as a freshman because of a transcript thing. So he's probably like Trevor Lawrence, backpacking through the Alps, and then shows up at 19 in Texas Tech, and he's a freshman. So leave me alone.
Fair enough, Bogus. You can weigh in 855-212-4227. Greatest freshman year in college football history. We see you on the phones. We'll let you weigh in next, right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Perloff here in New York. Maggie at the home studio. Great debate Wednesday. Greatest freshman season or redshirt freshman season in college football history. You can weigh in 855-212-4227. Some interesting choices here. Let's go to the phone lines. Kevin in San Antonio. Who do you got? Greatest freshman year in college football history?
I think Eric Dickerson of SMU.
Okay.
I also put, I'm old school. How about Earl Campbell from Texas?
Yeah, but I remember those guys had great rookie seasons in the NFL. Are you sure they had great freshman years?
Okay, so I'm looking at Eric Dickerson, and his freshman year was 1979, where he had 115 attempts and 477 rush yards with 6 touchdowns. You know, it's funny because we just had someone in the chat say Ricky Williams, and so I went back and looked up Ricky Williams' stats, but they're not like what he did in his junior and senior year. It's not even close to 1,000 yards rushing. I've got to look up Earl Campbell, but you know, it's so funny. I was thinking about this too. I was like, oh, it's got to be like the Eric Dickersons or those guys, but their freshman years just weren't that incredible.
I mean, if Barry Sanders didn't do it and Billy Sims didn't do it, I mean, yeah, it's hard. Back then, they had depth charts at running back. Thanks, Kevin. All right, let's go to...
I have Earl Campbell's numbers.
What did he do?
So Earl Campbell as a freshman was 1974, 162 rushing attempts for 928 yards and 6 touchdowns. So a little closer. And then his sophomore season, over 1,000 yards. His senior year, obviously, was the 1,700 yards. So it's just different, you know, way back then in the 70s.
All right, let's go to Joe in California. Joe, who do you got?
Bo Jackson.
Oh, let's look up Bo's
I got
numbers.
Bo in front of me. 829 yards. But I think he was part of, I seem to remember, was he part of a split backfield back then?
Yep.
Yeah, with Ronnie Brown and
Ronnie Brown
Jacobs.
and exactly.
It's not Cadillac Williams. No.
Cadillac Williams.
No, he was in a split backfield with Lionel James.
Right, the L train.
Yes, but Bo Jackson led the team in rushing that year with 800 yards.
I mean, listen, I don't care about stats. There's no cool. Well, Herschel, but Joe, Herschel was Bo before Bo. My guy, Herschel Walker.
Yeah, but Bo Jackson went to the NFL. He was the best back in football. Herschel Walker, what?
That's true, but this is about what they did as freshmen. And Herschel in college was everything that Bo Jackson was and more. So and that is a good choice, though, Joe. I appreciate that. Bo Jackson, by the way, is always the right answer in any great debate poll. Can we agree with that? Best third baseman in history, Bo Jackson. Coolest athlete, Bo Jackson.
Best second act as an MLB manager.
Yeah, Bo Jackson. Funniest athlete, Bo Jackson. Bo does seem to end up in almost all these. Tim Tebow and Bo Jackson, and with former member of the show, Pete Bellotti, Bruce Bochy, are the 3 most common choices.
Which one of these is not like the other?
Yeah. Do we have the poll up, EJ?
The poll is up.
Who'd you put on the poll for greatest freshman year?
So, apologies to Bogish, but he's the one that missed the cut. I've missed the last 2 or 3 cuts, so I've been unselfish here. But I put Trevor, I put Herschel Walker, I put Adrian Peterson, I put Johnny Manziel because he's the only guy that won a Heisman of these guys.
All right, fair enough. Okay, do we have time? I am really fascinated with this, and we have a minute before updates here. Thursday Night Football, by the way, to change the subject, Cowboys Giants is usually like, we don't have to watch this. It's going to be like 35-0. Is this going to be the most intense Cowboys Giants game of all time? There's so much pressure on Dallas. We're going to get more into it tomorrow, I'm sure. But Ryan in Dallas wants to talk about the Cowboys coming up against the Giants.
That's right, and that was Herschel's Trump's Generals. He went to the USFL. This is a playoff game in the 4th week of the season that we're looking at here right now. I know Elliott's back, and that's great to have someone. Jerry Jones seems to be very dedicated, but right now I'm really worried about is Donald Trump winning the presidency. I really mean it. The country's been flooded with illegal aliens. Harris is getting.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, he said he's really worried about Donald Trump winning the presidency. That's a mixed message here. If we just cut him off there, because we don't really do politics on the show, But does that mean he's worried that he's going to win or not going to win? I didn't know where that was going.
Well, the next segment about the
I think we knew where he was going there.
He was going there.
It's funny to use Herschel Walker as the in for that kind of statement, but
no, he's talking about how big it is a must-win situation for Dallas.
Oh,
but
right,
by the
that
way,
too.
what did Zeke do as a freshman? He was pretty sick in college. Did he produce at Ohio State? I think he broke out as a sophomore.
What about Maurice Clarett? Was he good from day one?
Yes, Clarett was. I think that was his big year. Was his freshman year, and then he got in some trouble.
You don't want to have a good freshman year. It feels like.
Yeah, like isn't it funny the way this
lay in the weeds until you're a junior.
I mean, some of these guys went on to get majorly paid in the NFL, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, but everyone we've mentioned is either out of the NFL or stinks.
I mean, Michael Crabtree, Bogus, your selection didn't play in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was one reception away from winning it.
That's true. He might be the best of the bunch in terms of actual longevity and career because Trevor Lawrence is going nowhere. Manziel is cooked.
Herschel played a long time in the NFL. Yeah. He didn't do much. By the way, Zeke sort of played as a freshman, 7 games, 30 carries, but then he had 1,900 yards as a sophomore. That's kind of like a redshirt freshman. No? Kind of.
A little bit of a stretch.
All right. Give us some updates there.
Almost immediately after winning the NBA title, the Celtics turned to Olympic drama. Jaylen Brown wasn't on the team. Jason Tatum was, but then didn't get into games in Paris. Brown spoke yesterday. What did I do to my script? There's things got rearranged, almost like somebody's playing a prank on me. Here's Jaylen Brown, motivated coming off the Olympic snub.
I'm ready to go. I'm excited about being back. The past is the past, but I'm ready to get after it, and just set the tone for another year again. I'm extremely motivated for obvious reasons, and I'm ready to get after it.
And now hopefully this is Jason Tatum. Again, he went to Paris, but then spent too much time on the bench.
It was a unique circumstance. Something I wasn't having experienced before in my playing career. But I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason.
Tatum said Joe Mazzulla was the only person happy about the playing time drama. I guess the coach liked Tatum avoiding the extra wear and tear. Also from Celtics Media Day, Kristaps Porzingis saying he's targeting December to return from his June ankle surgery. That would be a little ahead of schedule. Porzingis adding it could be even earlier than that if rehab goes well. Now,
I'm sorry.
You're gonna go.
Winning a gold medal and getting an A on the group project when you didn't do anything is not exactly adversity. All right, this guy just won an NBA title, silenced all the doubters. He's got everything now. He's got a massive contract. His running mate, they all have massive contracts. Everyone's paid. Everything is good. Please, this is not adversity here, okay? I can't with the gold medal stuff. Who cares? If you really care about team, what does it matter if you played or didn't play? You guys won. That's the only important thing, and that got totally lost in all that Olympic drama, and quite frankly, BS.
This might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard from a star athlete to say. This Jason Tatum thing, because he already got by not winning an NBA Finals MVP and still winning a championship, and we kind of moved on from that when Jaylen Brown was a better player. Now he comes into the season saying, "Oh, I didn't get the love in the Olympics." Now it's like, okay, Jason Tatum, you're so great. You should have started every game. You better average 30 points a game. You better carry the Boston Celtics to 65 wins, and you better win an NBA championship. And you know what? You better win a Finals MVP this time. This guy complaining this much, and I thought he should not have been benched. But he has milked this thing as long as any non-story I've ever heard. What is he doing?
What are you doing, EJ? You're a Knicks fan. Why do he's creating bulletin board material. Why? He's clearly the worst thing that happened to my Sixers and your Knicks was this craziness around the Olympics.
It's the best thing that happened.
What are you talking about? Besides, first of all, we had a new NBA champion every year for the last 6 years. This is the year because the boneheaded U.S. Olympic men's team didn't want to play Jason Tatum. I'm telling you, this is going to inspire them. The Celtics are coming back. Usually the champion has no bulletin board material. Now they have all of it. I disagree with both of you.
No, I see. The reason why the Celtics won in part was because of how connected they were and how unselfish they were.
Yes.
Now all we're hearing is, I didn't get this. I didn't get that. Where was my credit? How come I wasn't on the team? How come I didn't get more shots? Yeah, please bring that energy to the Boston Celtics. You guys were so harmonious last year. Everything was kumbaya. kumbaya. Doesn't matter who wins Finals MVP. Doesn't matter who gets the credit. We just want to win a championship. Yes, please bring all that selfish energy from the summer onto your team. I'm so happy. Please do that.
Did you watch The Last Dance?
Of course I did.
Do you understand what kind of things you need to do to fuel multiple title runs?
Yep.
Like bulletin board material exists in the NBA. And by the way, you say it's just an exhibition game. They should have just played them. It doesn't matter. I mean, we talk about Isaiah being frozen out of an All-Star game being a historic landmark thing. It was insane that Jason Tatum didn't play more, and it made no sense from a basketball standpoint either.
I agree with that. I'm just saying.
And why wasn't Jaylen Brown on the team? Can someone? To me, like. Because it was purely a shoe company thing, right?
That seems to be the most logical thing.
Derek White was on the team. And
they won the gold. Do you guys not remember the result?
It's U.S. men's basketball. He won the gold. Yeah, I hope so. You're USA. What does that mean?
That wasn't a given. They needed some big Steph Curry performances to save their butts.
Yeah, but so what? I mean, this is the NBA. The NBA championship is so much more important than that gold medal.
This guy just put he just put so much pressure on himself for no reason.
They're the defending champ. First of all, he already won a ring. I mean, how much pressure? You want to see pressure? Like Joel Embiid has pressure.
If he gets carried to another championship, that is going to be the only thing we're talking about in the playoffs this year. I guarantee you that.
If he gets carried, Tatum?
If Jason Tatum is shooting 3 for 12 again, like he was in Game 1 and doing what
he was a monster on the glass. He played such a good team game.
Team game? He's saying he should start over LeBron James.
He should have.
Rebounds, team game? What are we talking about?
What he got in there was dunking all over some European dude's head. He should have been in more. He has every. By the way, you say that. Like, are you betting against Celtics this year?
I love the fact that they're doing this. I love the fact. I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm telling you honestly, I really like that they are taking all of this selfishness about who should have played, who should have been on the team. I don't think that they're such a good team because they're so balanced and because they share the ball and because they don't care about the credit. The fact that they're all now looking for credit, I think, can be a bad thing.
But don't you think that
I'm not there right now. We've got to move on. It's the middle of football season. We've talked enough about the Celtics and the Knicks. We have to move on from this conversation.
And before I agree with Perloff again, twice in one day, that's two times too many. The NFL has upheld the one-game suspension of Chargers safety Derwin James. He's punished for repeated violations of player safety rules. The Pac-12 is suing to avoid a potential $55 million payment to the Mountain West for poaching 5 schools. The penalty was included in the scheduling agreement between the two leagues. The Mountain West issued a statement last night calling the suit BS. That's me paraphrasing, since the Pac-12 knew it was in the deal and freely signed it. And UNLV QB Matt Sluka says he is done playing for the school in an apparent NIL dispute. Sluka only played 3 games, so he can redshirt this season and play somewhere else next fall. The Houston Astros, AL West champs again. That's 4 in a row, 7 of the last 8 years, all after a 4-3 home win over the Mariners. The Padres and Orioles clinched playoff spots last night. Asia Wilson had 24 points and 13 boards. The Aces got a 2-game sweep of the Storm, 83-76. The Liberty closed out the Dream in their Game 2, 91-82. So Vegas and New York meet in the semis starting Sunday in Brooklyn. Pearl, back to you.
We're going to double or nothing our ratings bet. Anybody? We already ordered breakfast. I already lost the bet. They didn't get to $2 million. I think they're going to do pretty good numbers here the rest of the way. How does it work without Caitlin Clark? What's the number we're looking for? Is that down to $1 million?
Yeah, I mean, you have to compare. I don't know what the numbers were last postseason. I know they set their own records last postseason. They did well, but so I would think that you just want to be north of those numbers. You want to have improvement, but you're not going to get the same Caitlin Clark effect.
All right, debate today. Greatest freshman year in college football history. You can weigh in 855-212-4227. Seeing some interesting options here on Twitter. We'll break down some of those right here. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
So sorry about that. I just totally forgot. Okay. This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. Elevate your engine performance with Napa full synthetic engine oil.
Hugging those bills while Perloff collects on his bed with frills, but forget all that. There's something more dire. Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? So here we are, another work day gone. Maggie's at home and Pete's still withdrawn. Free egg McMuffins, but there's no joy to see, 'cause Bellotti's missing, and then where could he be? Maggie's at home feeling under the weather. She bet on Caitlin Clark, now she's missing the treasure. 2 million viewers, yeah, she had it right, but she's stuck at home hugging her Bills jerseys tight. EJ and Bogush, they're living the dream. Free egg McMuffins, now that's a winning team. But Maggie's coughing, she's out of the show. Peter Bellotti, now where did he go? Oh, Maggie's sick in the closet, hugging those Bills while Perloff collects on his bed with frills, but forget all that. There's something more dire. Where's Bellotti? Has he just retired? Perloff's gloating, but he's holding back, 'cause Bellotti's absences are what's really on track. Every day he's missing, what's his excuse? Is he dodging work or just hiding from the truth? They call for steaks, but pizza no-show. Not even a whisper of where he might go. Maggie's
Season in college football history. I went Herschel Walker, Maggie went Trevor Lawrence, Bogush went Michael Crabtree, Nico went Johnny Football, and EJ went with the great Adrian Peterson. There's a very, very strong nominee on the phone line. Let's go to Dan in Tampa. Dan, who do you got? Greatest freshman season of all time? Dan?
Yeah, Tony Dorsett.
Tony Dorsett.
Yeah, but also I like to sprinkle in there. He came in. There's another guy there at Pitt. He came in about mid-season. Disco Dan Marino, his freshman year, and led the team to the Fiesta Bowl victory. Came in for an injured quarterback at the time. Dan Marino is the only guy I know who could throw a football behind his back 70 yards and hit a wide receiver. I mean, he would do it in practice like it was like he was warming up.
Dan, did you see Tony Dorsett in college? Because I've seen highlights. It looked like he just would take the ball, run between two tackles, and go for an 80-yard touchdown every play.
Right. I saw Dorsett play. Tony Dorsett was one of these guys who you just, if you thought you had him sized up and squared up, he was right past you and gone. If you didn't get at him quickly and grab him, either grab him or knock him out from his legs, he was gone, Tony D. And the same thing with Dan Marino. If you think you were a lineman coming at this guy and you got him squared up, split second, that ball is going downfield at 100 miles an hour. Go Buchanan, go. 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 Go Pack, go. Go Pack, go. Go Pack, go.
All right, Dan. All right, Dan. All right, Dan. We got it.
Off. Go Pack.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Tony Dorsett, 1,586 yards in 11 games as a freshman, 12 TDs. You know, Maggie, I think we might have forgotten some of these old school guys.
Wait, can I give you someone from Pitt who's not even that old school, but someone who also had a sneaky great freshman year? It was Shady McCoy. 2007, he rushed for over 1,300 yards with 14 touchdowns. So he had 21 touchdowns his sophomore year, so maybe that gets a little, forgotten. But Shady McCoy was great his freshman year at Pitt, too.
Yeah, but I mean, were those impactful? Was that team a contender?
I mean, it wasn't Tony Dorsett. Okay, I'm just giving you another Pitt freshman.
Well, I watched the list. Deion Lewis, I think he might have challenged the record, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's on a lot of these lists as the greatest freshman year of all time.
I feel you guys are talking about the wrong Pittsburgh freshman. If you're talking about great Pittsburgh freshmen.
Who?
Larry Fitzgerald was a monster his first year.
Yeah.
And that was at a time where guys weren't getting a lot of yards. He had 1,000 yards as a true freshman. And then he almost won the Heisman the second year. I mean, people forget how gnarly he was for Pitt.
Yeah.
As a freshman.
Deion Lewis almost got the all-time record, by the way. 1,799 yards as a freshman. A couple old school guys. O.J. Simpson, no surprise, pretty good as a freshman. Led the country in rushing, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. And I don't have Jim Brown's numbers up, but I'm assuming nobody tackled that dude as a freshman in Syracuse.
I'm sorry, not to take away from our great debate today, which obviously you can still weigh in who had the greatest freshman year of all time. But wasn't somebody just talking about Jim Brown and his number should be retired all throughout the NFL? Was that Bill Belichick who said that?
Yeah, EJ and I decided that was too heavy a topic to get into, but you brought it up. Let's dive in, Maggie. What do you think?
Tough. Right? Tough, because we know some things about Jim Brown, right? About his personal life and things like that. So I doubt that they would ever do something like that. But if you were going, let's just say it was only on skill, merit, whatever. Who is the person who deserves to have their number retired? Because let's just take all off the field stuff out of this thing, right? If Jim Brown had some things, again, as I said, in his personal life with domestic violence and stuff like that. If we can for a second, if it's possible, let's just take the athlete. Is Jim Brown the most deserving person to have their number retired all throughout the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the GOAT is Brady.
Right. I'm wondering, would you retire 12 throughout the sport before you would retire Jim Brown?
I think football, it's hard to retire numbers. There's just too many players. And it feels weird to retire 12.
Well, and I guess you think about it, right? What are the retired numbers throughout the sport? Is obviously Jackie Robinson, and that's for completely other reasons. He was a great player, obviously, but his significance on baseball, on our country, on everything is huge. And is Bill Russell's number retired throughout the sport, too?
Well, I like to think of it as Dr. J's numbers retired throughout the sport.
Sure. But Bill / Julius.
Well, and also, obviously, so Jim Brown. So Belichick was unclear. Was he talking about the great photo where Bill Russell, Kareem, and Jim Brown are making a statement about civil rights, or is he talking about football? So I don't think you can necessarily separate the two. If you talk about just football, then you have an interesting debate. But I'm not sure that's what Belichick was saying exactly.
Oh, okay. Was he was saying as an activist and as a...
Well, he kept saying Jackie Robinson. And that's why EJ and I talked about this before the show.
Got it.
If you're going to talk about Jackie Robinson, it's just a different conversation for Jim Brown. And the problem with football, like retiring numbers is tricky because you have a gigantic roster. It's hard in baseball, too. Now guys are having to come back the longer we play, Maggie. But Jim Brown was up there as an all-time player. I'm not sure he was so great that you have to retire his number just based on performance.
Well, and he left the game at the top, too, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't even we got robbed and could have had even more years from Jim Brown. I mean, as like a statement, well, listen, if there's like a civil rights component to this, then obviously you're going to rethink it. As just football, I mean, listen, if you're going to divorce everything off the field, should Lawrence Taylor have his number retired? I mean, I'm surprised Belichick didn't go there.
I mean, is your guy OJ in the Ring of Honor in Buffalo?
Still in there. Never took him out.
Let's go to an easy. Let's not. Now we're getting into some areas that are outside of football, which are so hard. I think it's really worth discussing. I like sticking easy. Greatest freshman, Maggie. Just look at the numbers. Let's go to Bergie in Florida, who has a really good one. Bergie, who do you think is the greatest freshman of all time was?
Emmitt Smith. Gators, Florida Gators. About 1,500 yards, maybe 19 touchdowns, if that's right. You could double check, but that guy was amazing.
Yeah, but did he make an impact? Like, did he win it? He didn't win it. He was not on the title Florida teams, right? It was got to be what, the late 80s. I know he's good numbers, but again, I think if you have a running back with good numbers, you have to be win a title or do something really remarkable.
I know he really turned them around. You have to check the season, but I know they were lousy before him.
So Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith's rookie season, 1987 Florida Gators. You're right, he had a phenomenal season. They finished the season though 6-6 that year. But Bergie's also
that's not
correct. Good. Well, Bergie's also correct that next year was 7-5, and then I think it was his junior year. No, that was 7-5 too. Is that right? I
don't remember that Florida team being very good.
Emmitt was amazing though.
All right, let's go to Charles in Maine. Has one that every college football fan loves. Charles, who do you got?
Good morning. I was going to give a little bit more attention to Marcus Dupree, whose name you kind of casually tossed out there as one of the running backs of the era in which he played. He played for that Oklahoma Sooners team back when Oklahoma, Nebraska was as big as Ohio State, Michigan, or Auburn, Alabama, and Barry Switzer was like a cross between Steve Spurrier and John Gotti. Yeah, but when you look him up, there's all sorts of stuff from Frank DeFord to NPR, all in between, talking about the legend of Marcus Dupree and how he exploded on the scene and then vanished. And then one more point I made. Jim Brown, I think you might not find his numbers because I think he played in the era when freshmen weren't allowed to play varsity football.
Kind of like Kareem.
I might be wrong about that, but yeah, I think that might be right. Anyway, thanks for taking my call. Have a great day.
Thanks, Charles. We have a cut from the great Marcus Dupree.
Third down, 11. A counter to Dupree. Up to the 20. He may go. Dupree, it's a foot race. The chase is on. Clark trying to catch him. Touchdown. 86 yards.
And by the way, Maggie, he did all that with gold watches that he was getting from boosters weighing him down on the field. He was definitely in a big, I don't know if it was a wishbone, but that was a split backfield. So he only had 900 yards. But I watched the 30 for 30 on Marcus Dupree. It seemed like I've never seen a guy break more long runs in my life.
I mean, can we just pause on like the MVP call from the description of Barry Switzer as a combination of Steve Spurrier and John Gotti?
Oh my God.
We could sit down for an hour in a conference room. We would never come up with a combination that perfect.
It's so true. My buddy Spencer Tillman, Cause Gabe, said that Switzer had this button under his desk so he could close the door when he wanted to, and he would use it to intimidate players all the time. They'd be like walking up to come talk to him. He'd just close the door and stare at them and not let them in. He was awesome as a coach. Not a great NFL coach though, Mag.
Well, won a Super Bowl, but doesn't get a lot of credit for it.
Yeah. No, it wasn't the same. Like he was the Don. That is a wonder. And that I love Billy Sims. Any video, Marcus Dupree, Billy Sims, even Barry Sanders back in the day when. For some reason, running backs used to run for 80 yards on the regular. Now that doesn't happen. All right, you can weigh it again, 855-212-4227. Greatest freshman year of all time. Coming up next, we have a guy who ran for many, many yards at Alabama. Damien Harris will break down Georgia and Alabama coming up this Saturday, early game of the year. Can't wait to hear from him and maybe talk a little Patriots. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Yeah. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Andrew Perloff here in New York. Maggie at the home studio. Big college football weekend coming up. Georgia, Alabama. I cannot wait. Georgia's a 2-point favorite right now, Maggie. Interesting. This could be one of the closest games. Of course, if you have not had a chance yet, you can weigh in on our great debate today. Who had the best freshman season in college football history? This, by the way, Maggie, this poll, we put up a poll with our choices. It is close. I feel like my guy Herschel Walker is going to win it eventually. I'm not sure your person, Trevor Lawrence, is going to come away from this. Because I think people are, it's recency bias. He struggled on Monday night.
Listen, I get it. Your pick of Herschel Walker, EJ picking Adrian Peterson, Nico picking Johnny Manziel. I understand. But let's forget what Trevor Lawrence did on Monday night against Buffalo, which was absolutely nothing. And let's remember what it was like, the magic of him as a freshman at Clemson, beating Alabama. Like, this was an amazing freshman season. It's just getting lost now because Lawrence has been disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time Herschel Walker had a negative headline? I feel like Herschel is the guy. Johnny Football, of course, has a documentary, but this has been a lot of fun. There's a guy, I got a tweet that we really should put a Ron Dane of Wisconsin there.
Yep.
Great running back. The thing about Ron Dane is all his years were remarkable. I think you have to distinguish between great numbers and great freshman years. Like, we won titles, Maggie. Like, you and I should be the front runners on this. Johnny Manziel never won a title. And by the way, some good freshmen this year as well.
Yeah, but the thing, I get the Johnny Manziel is a fantastic selection by Nico because Johnny Manziel became like a cultural thing, right? Like Dylan Raiola right now, he's kind of doing this weird Patrick Mahomes impersonation, but if Raiola was not doing that, I think he could actually have a bit of a cultural moment too, because anyone who could bring Nebraska back, or anytime you revive one of these, like what's going on in Colorado right now with Shador and Travis Hunter, and these guys are not freshmen, obviously, but when you can revive a college football program and we can look at you and say, you were the turning point. We haven't talked seriously about Nebraska in a long, long time. And Raiola has made them very interesting and very, made them relevant again. So he has a chance there. Like Manziel, who was like Johnny Football was the biggest story in football for a while.
Yeah, the question, I think one issue with Raiola that we don't know yet, is he as good as some of the other freshman core? I mean, like, he's good. Don't get me wrong. Is he Caleb Williams? I mean, I don't quite think so. Is he Trevor Lawrence?
Well,
probably.
I don't want to go against my own poll.
But
my own great debate.
Well, that's the thing with Raiola. Who was the guest the other day who said he's very, very good, but not generational? I think that's interesting. Just watching him this weekend, like Caleb. Do you remember when Caleb Williams came in as a freshman and was really like fully ready to go? I think that is the standard that you're putting Dylan Raiola, because he's the number one recruit. He's not going to be on this list, Mag. No Arch Manning, although he felt like. Do we count this as his freshman year? Like, what's the deal there?
No. Arch, believe me, Arch is going to have his time. I'm still not convinced that Arch is ever giving up this starting spot. I know Quinn Ewers is a phenomenal quarterback. I get it. He's going to be in our lives for a long time. But I think Arch is very unique. He's not just like any regular backup who's sitting there keeping the seat warm for the starter to come back.
Well, he is. I think he's classified as a freshman. He only played 2 games last year.
Which is funny, though, because do you remember in the college football playoff where he was in uniform on the sideline?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the thing about Arch is he's not going to need that extra year because he'll be in the pros.
Right.
But he technically could be a freshman. That's a problem. Like, that's why you and I win this poll, because it should be true freshmen. And Bogus is like, well, why did you tell us that in advance? Well, that's kind of gamesmanship you need here on the Maggie and Perloff show to win the great debate. By the way, you know what's sitting here, Mag, right now? What's giant bag of breakfast food.
Finally, Perloff pays his debt.
Well, I haven't paid for it yet. I have to Venmo EJ. There is some question about whether or not I won or lost the bet.
No, you lost. That's why you had to pay.
New numbers are out. New numbers are out. Yes, according to Barrett Sports Media, the bet, of course, was will the Fever playoff game on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock on ABC reach 2 million viewers? It averaged 1.8 million viewers. It peaked at 2.2 million viewers. Therefore, 2 million people did watch a game. I'm having Nico, who's on the other side of the glass, pull the original audio of the bet. There might be an out here. I might have to litigate this further.
No, and we never said peak. You never said peak. And you should start referring to them as Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever, so people are fully aware of why we were talking about the rating and why it might matter. But no, Perloff, we said, will they get a 2 million people rating going up against the NFL? And we never said anything about peak. The average rating was 1.8. You're buying breakfast. By the way, it's still a great rating for the WNBA. It's awesome, but you didn't win.
Well, it's up 330% from the same game last year. Okay, time to talk some college football. Again, Alabama, Georgia this weekend. So we're so thrilled to talk to Damien Harris. You can see him every Saturday at 9 a.m. CBS Sports HQ's college football pregame show. Damien, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. How you guys doing?
Good. So we have a great debate here on the show. Every Wednesday we do this, and today we're doing the greatest freshman year in college football history. Now, I know you're a student of history as well. When I say greatest freshman, what's that first name that comes into your mind?
Well, right now, Ryan Williams. I'm not going to lie. He's hot. He is hot like lava. So, I mean, the first person that jumps on my mind, because, again, this is a business where people think, what can you do for me now? What are you doing for me right now? And right now, Ryan Williams is the hottest freshman I think we've seen in a while. So that would be just off the top of my head, without giving it too much thought. Yeah. You guys got me off the cuff early this morning, but without giving it too much thought, I would go Ryan Williams right now.
But he's 17. Is that right? Is that a typo?
Yeah.
How is he doing this?
I'm trying to figure it out. I think these kids are just getting more talented, more athletic, faster, more skilled than they were when I was his age. When I was 17, granted, I was good and I was highly recruited out of high school, but I wasn't ready to just step on the field and automatically be probably the second best player on Alabama's offense. So it's hard to explain, but I'm telling you, man, it's something in the water. These kids are getting more talented as the years go by.
Damien Harris is joining us, of course, national champion with Alabama. We're thrilled now that you're in the media, Damien. This is awesome. We get to pick your brain, especially before these massive games. And when you have Alabama, Georgia, you are part of one of maybe the most memorable, one of the greatest college football games, perhaps of all time, against Georgia, where Jalen Hurts gets benched for Tua. The legend of Tua began there, and you were on the field for all of that. I mean, what do you remember about that incredibly special night for you?
I remember every second of that moment. I mean, again, like you said, obviously outside of the Jalen and Tua situation, that was just one of the most memorable endings to the greatest game in the season in college football. So I remember every detail very vividly. I remember we were getting tossed around by Georgia. I mean, we couldn't really do anything. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't score. We couldn't really do anything. And, I want to clarify something all these years later. I don't think that was because of Jalen. I don't think that was because his lack of ability, because of anything like that. I think that Georgia is a good team. Obviously, they're coached by Kirby, who right now is one of the best coaches in college football. So I think they just had a really good plan for Jalen in that game. And I think that it just took a switch from us to kind of rejuvenate our offense because they were really shutting down everything that we had going. So, the first half, we were struggling a lot. And again, nobody was blaming Jalen. Nobody was thinking, oh, well, this is his fault or anything. But once we got into halftime, there were rumblings that Coach Saban was going to start Tua in the second half. And so then everybody was we were just kind of like everybody else would have been. The fans sitting at home. Because I'm sure when people heard that at home or when people saw Tua come out, everybody was like, wait, whoa, what's going on? this is crazy. We're switching quarterbacks at halftime. Like, well, the players felt the same way because Jalen had been our starter all year. He had been our guy. And unless we were up by 50 or 60 points, Tua was just a backup. And so once that happened, we were all just kind of like, all right, well, we don't know what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, we got a game to win. So whoever is going to be on board, whoever those 11 guys are on the field, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, those got to be the best 11 guys. And so if that's what Coach Saban thinks is going to give us the best chance to be successful, then that's what we're going to go with. And I remember very, very vividly because we got the ball to start the second half. And I remember before Tua even called the play, we were in the huddle and he got on a knee and he looked all of us in our face mask right in our eyes and was like, we're going to win this game. I don't care what we got to do. I don't care if the burden is on me. I don't care if the burden is on you. I don't care who it's on, but we're going to win this game. We broke the huddle and then he damn sure won us that game. So yeah, it was a crazy moment. And again, going back to Jalen, I think that what is incredible or what's important to note is just how incredibly he handled that situation and how incredibly he handled the transition. I mean, even if you go back and watch the tape of, what happened after that play, like Jalen was one of the first guys that ran on the field celebrating. He was happy as could be. And, he handled it with class, with maturity, and with leadership. And, for a starting quarterback to have been as successful as Jalen, to have to go through that, to have that kind of leadership and show that he only cared about the team, that resonates with when he went to Oklahoma and now how he's doing with the Eagles. Like, I think that all speaks to the character of Jalen.
So just to revisit this, Coach Saban didn't tell you anything during the week. You really didn't know. And you couldn't tell via the way they were practicing, there was nothing there?
No, there was absolutely nothing going into that week saying, okay, well, if we don't do well on offense, we might make a quarterback change. Like, I know that right now that 2-quarterback system is starting to get popular and teams are starting to get away from guys in certain situations. Like, oh, well, if this guy isn't playing well, let's throw the backup in, see if we can get a new spark. That wasn't how we operated. Like, we had our starters, we had our backups, and that was the way it was. So there was no indication going into that game that was a possibility. And that's why, like I said, whenever we got the news, we were all just kind of like, oh, okay, all right, here we go.
You played in some really big games. Damien Harris is joining us. He's part of CBS Sports HQ pregame show on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and doing that transition from playing days into the media, Damien. We know that some of your former coaches and teammates are also making that same switch. I'll ask you about that in a minute. But as far as this Alabama-Georgia game coming up this Saturday, it's going to be a great one. What have you learned about Jalen Milroe in this season, and how does he crack yet another Georgia defense that is stifling?
Well, he's an unbelievable athlete, and I think it's important to note he's become a much better passer than what people thought that he was going to be. And I think that he's already exceeded expectations with his arm talent, with his ability to throw the ball. It definitely helps when you've got guys like Ryan Williams who are always open and always in the end zone. But Jalen Milroe has shown so much improvement in the pocket, staying in the pocket, not always looking to run, using his arm, hitting the big plays, but also taking the checkdowns, taking the profits. He's not turning the ball over. He's running the ball efficiently. He's become much more sure with the ball in his hands. I know, the past couple of years, he's had a little bit of trouble holding on to the ball as well as, obviously throwing interceptions. But, he's cleaned all that up. He's become a much more efficient runner. He's become a much more efficient passer. And I think that shows. I mean, he's rattling off stat lines where he's throwing for 3 touchdowns, running for 2 touchdowns, probably close to 300 passing yards, 100 rushing yards, and no turnovers. I mean, when you can play that efficiently, but also take care of the football and not give the ball back to the other team and keep the possession with your offense, I mean, you can't really ask for much more for a quarterback. Jalen Milroe is obviously the leader of this team. I think that him and Kalen DeBoer's relationship is phenomenal. I mean, you see them at basketball games, you see him hanging out in the offseason. And, now that the season has started, you can see how that chemistry, how that relationship is helping them be so successful. Kalen DeBoer has a great track record of putting quarterbacks in a situation to be successful. And I think that that's showing with how Milroe is continuing to progress, obviously as a runner, but definitely as a passer.
Talking to former Alabama star, former New England Patriot, Damien Harris. Damien, this game is a huge game. Obviously, you don't get bigger than this, but it's different than when you were playing because of the 12-team playoff. Does the game mean anything less because there's a great chance both teams will be there?
No, absolutely not. Because, this is my problem with the 12-team playoff is you start talking about teams like Alabama and Georgia in the same breath that we're talking about a potential Notre Dame or a potential Michigan right now, right? Alabama and Georgia are the two of the best teams in college football, and they both know that they have a pretty darn good chance of making it to the playoffs, whether it's 4-team or 12-team. With that being said, these are two Titan programs. This is Granted, Nick Saban is gone, but this is the program, the legacy that he left that Kalen DeBoer is now putting his touch on versus Kirby Smart and the Alabama that he's tried to build at Georgia. So this is a clash of titans. This isn't, there's 12-team playoff implications. We want to impress the committee. We want style points like Ryan Day was saying. No, this is two of the giants in college football, not just this year, but in years past. So at the end of the day, these two teams are looking at each other like, we're two heavyweight boxers. Two men step in, one walk out. That's the end of the story. So yeah, I don't think this 12-team playoff has too much implication for this game because again, the stakes in this game are high enough. Kirby Smart talking about, they weren't what they used to be. Nick Saban talking about, granted, this was years ago when I was playing, but we got to make this personal. They said this, they want to take what's ours, they want to be who we are and what we want to be. That makes this stuff personal. Go out there and make it personal and win this game. People have heard the intensity, people have seen what these programs bring to the table, and at the end of the day, it's about proving who is the better team, not who's going to make it to the 12-team playoff, what ranking, what seed. No, this is about who is the best team in the SEC right now. Obviously, outside of Texas. I got Texas as my top team in the SEC right now, but obviously, if I'm Alabama, I think I'm the best team in the SEC. If I'm Georgia, I think I'm the best team in the SEC. So this is almost a mini SEC championship before the actual big game.
Damien Harris is joining us. Won a national championship at Alabama. I'm not even going to ask you who you're picking.
Hold on,
I won
two. I won two national championships. I won two of them things.
I'm not going to ask you who you're picking in this game because that would be a waste of time. We know that you're going to ride with the Crimson Tide, of course. But
every time,
of course. I do want to ask you though about. You said it's like a heavyweight match, and with the college football playoff now being 12 teams, you don't want that to water down, what it means for these two incredible college football teams to meet in the regular season. How is facing Georgia, though? Is it different than facing LSU? Is it different than facing Auburn, obviously, who you have this amazing rivalry with that goes back for generations? I mean, how is it different for Alabama to play Georgia? Why is it different?
I really don't think it's different at all because when you look back the past couple of years, it's been Alabama, Georgia in the national championship, Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship, Alabama, Georgia. Even whenever it was my freshman year and we played in Athens, I mean, that was a huge game. We were bumping and fighting before, during pregame warmups. And this is, even though Alabama and Georgia don't play each other that often in the regular season, it boils down usually to the SEC or the national championship. But these, like I said, these are two teams who have such I'm trying to think of the word, such
like rich.
They're so rich in history. Yes, they're so rich in history. And every year they develop the best players. They've got some of the most talented players in the country. Obviously, in recent years, they've had two of the best coaches in college football. So again, like I said, whenever we play LSU or whenever we play whoever in the SEC, we know it's going to be good on good. It's going to be good players against good players, good coaches versus good coaches. We're going to have to play our best because the team that we're lining up against is going to give us their absolute best. So to me, I don't see this game any differently. It's just an old-fashioned heavyweight fight, like I just said, between two powerhouse fighters, two powerhouses in Alabama and Georgia. Two great coaches, great quarterbacks, great skill players, great defenses. It's just about who's the better team, who's going to show up, who's going to play better, who's going to hit the other guy more times and not let them get up off the mat. I mean, that's what it is. That's what heavyweight fights are about.
David, we want to get in your former coach. I have to ask one more Alabama question because I think when you look at your roster, the final championship year, it's pre-transfer portal. So Alabama and Georgia could go 6 deep. What was it like? I'm looking at the depth chart. You had behind you at running back Bo Scarborough, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, and Brian Robinson Jr. Now you see all these guys on Sunday. Then your wide receiver room was Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith. I mean, what was practice like? What was it like to be a defensive player against a third team there?
Practice was intense. If there's anything I remember from my time in Alabama, is practices were definitely more intense than the games. And I know people always say, yeah, you want to make practice situations more amplified. That way in the game, you can handle any situation. Well, I don't even think that, I mean, obviously Coach Saban tried to do that, but the fact that there was a 5-star at every single position, and then there was another 5-star behind them at every single position, and then there was another potential 5-star, if anything, a 4.5-star behind them, third string. So imagine the practices when we would go periods when it's good on good, right? So it's our starting offense, like you just said, me, Jalen Tua, Calvin, Smitty, Ruggs, and then on defense, you've got Reuben Foster, you've got Marlon Humphrey, you've got Minkah Fitzpatrick, Daron Payne. Like, this, I mean, imagine how, and then obviously not only were we 5-stars, we knew we were 5-stars. We knew we were good. So imagine the intensity that brings in practice, right? Imagine how amplified that would be, right? And then you think about it. So then when we would go, okay, like one offense versus scout team defense, well, there's still 4 and 5-stars on the scout team defense. So they're making plays, they're making picks, they're talking trash because they want to be running with the ones. So now they're pissing us off because they're screwing up our practice. Now we're getting all mad. And it's just because there was so much competition. There was so much competitiveness. Hell, even in the running back room, I actually just did a hit with CBS yesterday where they had asked me, give me a funny story about your time in 2017, whenever you were playing with all of these great running backs. Like, give me a funny story. And I talk about, there was a time, it was before we played Auburn in 2017. It was a Friday. We had our little Friday walkthrough before we showered up, got on the bus and everything. And Coach Saban had yelled for Harris to get in. Obviously, there's me, Damien Harris, and there's Najee Harris. So we both run out on the field. And so I'm thinking, this young kid ain't finna take my reps. And he's thinking, I ain't finna let this old guy keep taking all these reps. I'm next up. I'm hot. I'm finna take over this room, right? We run on the field. We're arguing. We're bickering. We're yada, yada, yada. Coach Saban obviously throws us off the field, screaming, hollering at us. Then what do? We go to the sideline. We start arguing more. We start pushing and shoving. We mess up the whole walkthrough. But again, obviously that's a funny, silly story, but that just shows how competitive we were. Like, regardless if it was running back, tight end, DB, defensive lineman, you had to maximize every play, every rep, every practice, like everything you had to maximize, because if I knew if I didn't, somebody was going to come and take my job. Or if I was Najee, I knew if I didn't do what I needed to do, I wasn't going to have a chance to get on the field because there were guys in front of me that were 5-stars doing the right thing. So it was incredible. It was incredibly competitive, but we took all that energy that we built up, all that competitive energy from Monday through Thursday and Friday. And then on Saturday, we just unleashed it on the other team.
Damien, I mean, it was amazing to watch you at Alabama. And now if you had a room like that, 3 of the guys would probably just transfer and we wouldn't have great stories like that anymore of all these incredible competitions. All right, we'll have to get you back on another time to talk about I want your take. Your Travis Hunter take was unbelievable. You said that he's already a top 5 most impactful.
I'm willing to double down on it.
Well, let's just do it right now. We have 2 seconds.
Yeah.
2 seconds here.
It.
She said Travis Hunter is already one of the top 5, should be in the pantheon of top 5, like, great college football players of all time. You know what it takes to make it at the pro level. Should he play both ways when he gets to the NFL? Can he play offense and defense?
Well, he says he can. And he told us that he could do this at a high level, playing snap after snap after snap, playing 160 snaps almost. He told us that he could do this. Now, what is he saying? I want to do this at the next level. So until I see otherwise, I believe this kid because he is doing it at such a high level. Every game, you can depend on him to go. If you throw the ball to him enough, he's going to get you 100 yards. He'll get you a touchdown or 2. And then now, it's not just that he's making big plays on defense. One thing that's really stood out to me is his coverage is a lot better. I felt like last year, he was making a lot of highlight picks. He was making highlight plays, but his coverage was hidden from the fact that he was making big plays. Well, this year he's covering, he's clearly tackling, winning games, biting the ball, knocking the ball off of guys, which, let me put something into perspective. As a running back, if I ever have the ball on the 1-yard line and I see a corner, I swear to you guys, there is not one cornerback that has ever played the game of football that I would say could stop me on the 1-yard line. Travis Hunter knows that. He knows that corners have that stigma. And what does he say? I know guys think I'm not going to tackle. I know guys think I'm just a corner. I don't want to get my nose dirty. And what does he do? He pops the ball out and wins them the game after having 100 yards receiving, after playing over 80 snaps on offense, after playing 80 snaps on defense. So when we talk about the all-time greats of college football, we talk about Cam Newton, we talk about Barry Sanders, we talk about, Johnny Football. They've transcended the game of football, but they did it at one position. They did it playing half the snaps that Travis Hunter is doing. So again, when you look at his offensive production, his catch radius, if you get the ball anywhere within 3-4 yards of him, he's more than likely going to catch it. You turn on his defensive tape, he's strapping guys. He's not letting guys create separation. And he's creating turnovers by getting picks, forcing fumbles, winning the games. I mean, you have to look at what he's doing on both sides of the ball, how impressive it is on both sides of the ball. And then whenever you put all that together, there's not I can't name 5 guys that have done things that are more impressive than what he's doing on both sides of the ball, playing 160 snaps every single weekend.
Damien, you sound like you were ready to put on the pads on Saturday. I would not want to watch a game with you. I can tell you right now, you might punch the guy next to you if there's a big play.
I'll tell you this, my wife does not enjoy watching games.
I can tell why, but it's great to talk to you. We have to get you back on. We have to talk Bill Belichick. We have so many more questions, but good luck on Saturday. Again, Saturday, 9 a.m., CBS Sports HQ's college football pregame show. Thank you, Damien.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Oh, my God. Now I'm fired up. I cannot wait till Saturday night. Maggie, this is going to be so fun. That was awesome.
I know. I mean, telling these great stories about Alabama, telling great stories about Nick Saban. I mean, how funny is that? He says, Harris, get in there. And he's not sure if it's Damien Harris or Najee Harris. You got 2 good options right there.
That's 2 good Harrises. All right. We'll be right back. More college football debate on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. We ran a little late there with Damien Harris, former Alabama running back, former New England Patriot. He was great. I mean, take you back. It feels like a long time ago, though. 2017, not that long ago. Before the transfer portal, you could stack about 7 pros at every position, and that's what Alabama and Georgia used to do. I think it's going to be great. I mean, Maggie, have you had a guest like that who you felt could have jumped out of your screen and put on shoulder pads and played today like that? He's ready to go.
He was great and great memory. It wasn't that long ago, but all those stories from Alabama of all the former Patriots, and also Damien Harris did play for my Buffalo Bills last year, but of all of the former Patriots who have entered the media over the last year, Belichick, Brady, Damien Harris is by far the best one. Yeah. It's not even close. He's better than Belichick. He's more polished than Brady.
Gronk doesn't say anything. Edelman's pretty good. Gronk does not say anything. I do like Gronk, though. All right, let's get the headlines. Running late here. Andrew Bogus, hit us.
The Houston Astros began this season 7-19. In June, they were still 10 games behind the first-place Mariners. This morning, they are AL West champs again after last night's 4-3 win over Seattle. How'd you do it, Alex Bregman?
We had to grind for it all year long, and the guys just put their head down, never stopped believing, and kept faith and kept going.
This is their 4th straight division title, 7th in 8 years. The loss leaves the Mariners 2.5 games behind the Tigers for the last AL wildcard. The Royals currently on the second one, winning a tie with Detroit after a 1-0 win in 10 in Washington. The Orioles clinching at least a wild card with a 5-3 win at Yankee Stadium that also prevented the Bombers from winning the East. Over in the NL, the Padres clinching a spot with a 4-2 win at Dodger Stadium. That game ending on a triple play. The Mets losing in Atlanta 5-1, while the Diamondbacks took an 11-0 beating from the Giants. So the Mets remain in the second wild card spot, a half game up on Arizona, who's a half game up on Atlanta. And the A's began their final series in Oakland with a 5-4 walk-off win over the Rangers. Over 30,000 fans were there chanting "Sell the team" and taking things home with them like their actual seats. Antonio Pierce
Do they have sewage on them? Are you sure those seats were clean?
I think they were easily detachable because they're rotted at the bottom. Just one little tug and they came home with you.
Is there some kind of like possum attached? Aren't there possums living in the visiting radio booth in that stadium?
Yeah. But they've got 2 games to go. Like, there might not be enough seats for a sellout crowd in their last game, which is the expectation.
Worry. There'll be enough. There's always seats available at that
I
stadium.
saw a story that the ownership and the front office was telling all the players and coaches, like, whatever you do, leave the field immediately after the last game.
Yeah.
Immediately. They don't want you saying thank you. They don't want you trying to take pictures with fans or bring your family, like I guess most people would go, saying farewell to a city. They're worried that people are going to run on the field, do crazy stuff. They don't want you staying around the ballpark after, talk to fans outside the ballpark. Like, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, apparently the Rangers, the visiting team, got a full rundown from their security people on how to handle anything that might happen.
Wow.
Like people doing something worse than just running on the field and ripping up grass. Like, they're prepared. I guess they know how to get off the field if they have to in a hurry, all that kind of stuff, because no one knows what people are going to do over these 2 days.
Man, I'd love to give like fans like us, because obviously that's how we all started here. We're not professional athletes or former athletes, so we're fans first. And I'd love to give fans more credit than that, but I feel like I understand. I'm not advocating for it, but I understand the anger because you're getting gaslit by the owner who writes a thank you to the fans letter that was full of BS. And so, yeah, you probably feel like it's not about the players on the team. It's about showing the ownership how upset you are. And I again, I'm not advocating for it, and I'm not saying it's right, but he should have never written that letter.
He should have done a lot of things, like keep the team.
Yeah.
But here's a change in plans, though. This is Maggie not advocating violence. Usually she's the, Filipowski, run that kid over.
Yeah.
So we've turned a new leaf.
Listen, I'm maturing.
Yeah.
I'm
holding back.
I'm growing up. This is a new me. I'm mellowing out.
Antonio Pierce a little vague about his QB situation after Sunday's embarrassing home loss to the Panthers, but Gardner Minshew will reportedly keep the job with the team, never really considering a move to Aiden O'Connell. Davante Adams told Up and Adams on FanDuel TV yesterday the starter needs to know he has job security.
It's like having a girlfriend and you let her know, you make her feel like every day she could be out the door. Like that's not the feeling that she wants, and I don't think you're going to get the best product out of your girl if she's thinking that she's going to get kicked to the curb every single day.
What?
Yeah, you got to be nice. You got to let Gardner Minshew know that he's got some room to keep the job.
So why didn't he create this whole thing himself?
Antonio Pierce?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I dislike this from Antonio Pierce so much because, first of all, you can't come in. Okay, you lose in embarrassing fashion to the Carolina Panthers, who did you not know they were making a quarterback change? Everyone else knew, but apparently you didn't know. So you lose, and you're trying to send a message that says, "Hey, guys, we're making business decisions at the end of the game. Now we're going to make business decisions." And then 24 hours later, you're like, "Nah, everyone's staying the same." These are so empty. It's an empty threat. Unless there's going to be someone else we see that gets disciplined or something like that, you're going to stick with the same. It's not that Gardner Minshew was making business decisions, but you're not. What are you actually changing anything? This is boy who cried wolf.
I want to say one thing. I know maybe I don't know if as if he has like kind of experience. Antonio Pierce with girlfriends, but I know every girlfriend I had definitely wanted to make sure I knew I could be out the door any second. They did not listen to this Antonio They did not listen to this Antonio Pierce knowledge. They were very quick to be like, "Hey, one more step and you're out, buddy."
It's funny how the power dynamic just shifts from couple to couple.
There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of those business decisions, Davante had his own thoughts on those as well.
There were some guys out there that they were kind of just trying to see another day. And that's really not what the game is about. And if you look at the tape, across the whole game, it wasn't really just late in the game. It was multiple times throughout the 3 hours we were out there where people were maybe not, putting an extra hit on somebody, not, putting that extra block or not straining a little bit more just so that we can have it look the way we wanted to on tape.
Man, I've forgotten the names already, but there are a couple of dudes, defensive backs, who played less tough than I would have played had you just given me a helmet and run the field. I mean, just watching guys run past them, like, you know what? I'm not going to get involved in that. It was startling.
This is disaster for Pierce because it's not that he's a bad coach. It just, I don't think anyone believes that he's like Mr. X's and O's savant coach. But
right.
Not that he's bad, but it's not that, I don't know if he has the genius tag yet. Maybe he'll get there. But he's supposed to be the vibes guy. He's supposed to be the galvanizing the locker room dude. That's how you go from interim coach to head coach. And you have guys making business decisions in week 3?
Well, I told you guys this offseason, you took this whole Antonio Pierce thing too seriously because you could talk about the coach all you want. The problems are organizational, and we all know it. We all know it's the ownership group.
Do you think Mark Davis is telling guys it's all right, you can loaf?
I'm just saying you could bring in Bill Belichick there. It ain't going to fix the problem.
I wish I agreed with Perloff in the offseason. He was so right about this.
Because you're big at Pierce. Pierce might be a great coach, but this is an impossible situation.
Yeah, there's something poisonous about that Raider organization. Just you put on that black and silver, and you don't want to tackle people. You're lazy. I mean, they've had a lazy, undisciplined team for 25 years. It doesn't matter the coach, doesn't matter who's running the team. If you wanted to say, what's the scouting report on the Raiders? It'd be the same scouting report every year, regardless of who the players are. And you're right. You can't just put this on Pierce. And I was foolish to think that he can come in and kick some behinds and get them to get their act together. I don't think he can.
Man, maybe they need to get out of Vegas and get to a place that's a little less fun.
Oakland? Well,
Oakland is actually a good time as long as you don't play for the A's.
Things weren't actually going great over there either.
Caitlin Clark and the Fever need to win tonight to extend their season. Game 2 in Connecticut, 7:30 Eastern. Clark said yesterday her right eye is fine after getting poked during Sunday's loss. The Aces knocked out the Storm last night, 83-76 in their Game 2, and the Liberty swept the Dream, 91-82. Those two play in the semis starting Sunday in Brooklyn. And UNLV QB Matt Sluka says he is done playing for the program. He'll redshirt, go elsewhere for next season. Sluka says certain promises from his recruitment were not met and will not come through at all. There are other reports, though, that maybe he just got a better offer to go somewhere else for 2025. UNLV right now 3-0, 2 nice wins in contention for a playoff spot at the moment. Guys, back to you.
Wow, that's exciting. All right.
Are we ever going to find out about what really happened here?
I think if he's making a business decision, I know this sounds anti-team, but what does college football expect? I mean, this guy should look out for himself. That's what I might do.
Well, I do think, though, there is, and it's hard to say it because no one keeps up their end of the bargain. But in the simplest of terms, if he got everything that he agreed to take from them, and in the middle of September he goes, somebody else has something better for me for next year, I'm leaving, that's not great. That's not the same thing as him putting his foot down and going, hey, you told me you were going to give me this and you didn't, and you say you're not going to give it to me, so I'm leaving.
Yeah, but that young man sitting there watching our coaches get $25 million buyouts who leave whenever they want for whatever reason, seeing ADs getting $3 million contracts leave whatever they want for whatever reason. Why should college players who actually have to take the punishment not get what they can when they can?
Yeah, I would just like everything to be last a year. I think they all could agree to leave or to last 1 year together.
See,
I think I'm asking too much.
I think at the crux of this is, did they actually come through with the commitment they said? Did UNLV actually make good on the commitment they said? Or did Sluka play so well that he went back to them and said, hey, yesterday's price is not today's price because I'm playing really well? And they said, no, we signed a contract. And he said, all right, then I'm going to redshirt and I'm going to keep my last year of eligibility. And next year I'll be playing for Oregon and I'm going to make, 4 times as much or what have you. I want to know that. I think that detail is important for the story.
You're totally right, Maggie. But the reality is, this is his chance to cash in, probably at a much higher level than what he's getting at UNLV. So and you're right. In principle, no, of course he should not do this. But can you blame him? I mean, there's not a long shelf life. I don't think he's a pro prospect as far as I know.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Now, I knew of his existence before today, so I'll connect this dot for you. His head coach at Holy Cross, Bob Chesney, is now the head coach at James Madison, who just got all that money to score 70 at North Carolina. So is any of that money getting redirected to Matt Sluka to be the JMU QB?
Oh, they're spending that Tar Heel money already.
Yeah. Mac Brown's great. We have them on our schedule. And again, this Sluka kid. All right. Coming up next, more of your calls. The great debate, best freshman season in college football history. You can weigh in 855-212-4227. That's next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break.
All
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Great Debate Wednesday. Greatest freshman season in college football history. I went with the great Herschel Walker. Maggie went Trevor Lawrence. Nico, Johnny Football. EJ went with All Day Adrian Peterson, and Andrew Bogusch went with Michael Crabtree. Let's go to the phone lines. Mike in Syracuse. Who do you got? Greatest freshman season in college football history.
Well, Mike from Syracuse is going to give you another Mike from Syracuse. That's Mike Hart, Michigan running back.
Mike Hart. What on earth happened to that dude?
He's coaching now someplace.
Wasn't he? I don't understand. That is a guy who I was guaranteed was going to be a star. And I remember he had one great year, right? Did he do anything? Did he even make the NFL?
Yeah, he was with the Colts for a while. But he had so many carries for Michigan all 4 years that he just got beat up because he was basically a small guy.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you, Mike. If you're too good as a freshman, you take too many carries. Let's go to Big Dave. Dave, you know college football very well. Greatest freshman season in college football history.
Can't believe that no one has opened the book of Manning. What about the great Peyton Manning? His freshman year, he was thrust into the lineup. Went 89 for 144, threw for 1,200 yards. First team All SEC, had some big wins, huge win over Alabama that year. So,
now wait, what's the legend? And Maggie, you might know this too. Did he beat out Todd Helton? What was Todd Helton's role in all this? Todd Helton was
sure.
They were. Was that like he took over? Sorry, I'm screwing up this story. I think
No, you're right. It was Helton, but it was there Brandon Stewart? There were a couple guys who were on that roster.
But 1,200 yards, Dave. That's not going to make. That's not going to win the debate.
Well, he was a freshman. He won. Well, he was okay. How many freshman quarterbacks has come into the SEC and made first team All Conference?
7.
But listen, time out. You said something a while ago that just totally derailed my train of thought, McLevin, and I'm going to address it right now.
Go ahead.
The Sluka deal, okay, the NIL dispute and all that. You made the comment, well, can you really blame him, for taking more money? Let me lay this scenario on you. The air conditioner goes out in your apartment, okay?
Yep.
It's 120 degrees tomorrow. You contact 3 contractors. You settle on one. He admits, I'll absolutely be there tomorrow, man. You can count on me. In the meantime, in the 8-hour period, someone else says, look, dude, I'll give you an extra $500 if you'll be at my place tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there with your kids and your wife in an apartment that's 220 degrees. Can you really blame him?
Yeah, did he sign a contract with you, like a ironclad contract to play football at UNLV?
I don't know.
No, he didn't, because college football doesn't have contracts, Dave. You have a scholarship.
What about honoring your commitment?
What about you pay the players what they deserve?
You are exactly what is wrong with the sports world right now, McLovin. It is you. It is you. It's this type. I don't understand. Where did it go wrong, McLovin?
Wait, okay, you want to go back to basically getting like the coach gets $60 million, the AD gets $9 million a year, the player gets concussions, and maybe he gets $300 under the table. That's what you want, Dave?
Who's making them play?
They should be getting paid. I watch college football. There's 7 hours of commercials. And there's an Apple commercial. Why is this guy not getting that money? Why is it going to some administrator in college, Dave?
Did he agree to an NIL deal?
I haven't seen the paperwork.
You don't know that he did not. You're speculating on your behalf.
It's an NIL deal. If it's such a big deal, then these players should be signing contracts for the team.
I agree.
Yeah, I
agree
100%. I thought you would.
100%. I agree. But it's all about honoring your commitment, which has been left by the wayside. In sports and pretty much everything else in this country right now. That's the problem, and you are the poster child.
I'll take it, Dave. Thank you for the call, Dave. Maggie,
MVP
by the way,
call from Dave. I mean,
that must have hit home because the air conditioning guy not showing up. Maggie, you know what that's all about.
Yeah, ours was at the hot water heater guy. that was dire either way. But Big Dave, one of our great friends of this show, calling up to say that Perloff is everything wrong.
Yeah,
about
we should cut
college
that.
Football, I think, and society. I think he called you the poster child for both, Pearl, and no lies.
I gotta be honest. I'm feeling some great pride in that. I think underneath it all, Dave had a touch of compassion and love with that statement. I think he appreciates that. No?
No, I think that he's seen the true colors of McLovin, and he's appalled.
Not true colors. I have not changed. Trust me. And Dave knows that very well. There is no true colors to be revealed.
But that's why I said this this story.
Yeah.
Sluka, sorry. We need the details of this very much matter.
There's only one UNLV quarterback I care about. Two: Randall Cunningham and Kenny Mayne. Other than that, I don't want to hear about it. All right, maybe we'll dive into that tomorrow. Thank you to Nico, EJ, Andrew Bogish, Maggie from home.
Andrew Kaplan.
Andrew Kaplan. See you tomorrow.